It's 11:07. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. How you doing today, boys?
11:07, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Let's jump in. The water's warm. You could do this on a hot summer day when the Cardinals are bad, not when the Blues are coming off of a win.
And to be fair, let's be real, man. They didn't play last night. They've got a back-to-back coming up.
You got the great
we were going to be late, today's probably the day. Blues back in action this evening against the Washington Capitals. It's a TNT. I'm going to power through here, boys. TNT broadcast for the Blues. So they're going to be on a national stage once again. And Alex, they've been playing better lately. They have 3 points in their last 3 games. You do that over time, you're going to get back into this thing eventually. What has to happen, though, and I don't know how many times we've said this over the last few years, but it's true. Their best players have to play like their best players, Alex.
Some of them did that last game.
So I went back. I was curious. Hey, what did the Blues' best players do in that post-Four Nations break? When you were playing at the peak performance under Jim Montgomery, they went on that crazy winning streak. They found a way to get into the playoffs after all of us had our, this team's dead, like dead conversation. After the Four Nations break, Alex, Robert Thomas had 40 points in 26 games.
Yeah, that checks out.
Jordan Kyrou was a point-per-game player, 26 points in 26 games. Dylan Holloway, point-per-game player, 23 points in 23 games. And Pavel Buchnevich, point-per-game player, 23 points in 22 games. Another player that we need to bring up, Cam Fowler was basically a point-per-game defenseman, which is like nearly impossible. 22 points in 25 games after the Four Nations break last year. The reason that I'm bringing this up is because this year, Robert Thomas is a nearly point-per-game player, 8 points so far in the 9 games that he's played. He was at 40 in 26 at their best. But I think that's more of a reflection of who he's playing with. Because you look at the top wingers right now. Kyrou's kind of similar, 8 points in 13 games. He's been playing well, all things considered. Holloway, 6 points in 13 games. Booch, 6 points in 13 games. Cam Fowler, 4 points in 13 games. If this team's going to get back to its peak performance, those are 3 guys that I would circle for them. Holloway, Booch, Fowler. They've got to get back to the levels that they were playing at, or at least approaching the levels that they were playing at by the end of last season. Are you seeing any signs from them that we could be getting back to that, Alex?
Yes, I'm seeing the signs on Holloway. I think Holloway's game has actually gotten better over the last 4 or 5 games. The points may not be there, but he's playing the style that Jim Montgomery has talked about. Booch, I think Booch is just a matter of you need Robert Thomas with him. I think without Robert Thomas, Booch kind of goes away into the shadows, but with Robert Thomas, it brings the best out of him and potentially Jimmy Snuggerud. Fowler's the one that I'm most interested in. I knew he wasn't going to continue the pace that he had last season, even when he signed that extension. It was impossible to think he was going to be close to a point-per-game player for 82 games. I think some of the issues with Cam Fowler have just been the defense in general. They've been juggling up the combos because it wasn't working with Fowler and Parayko, wasn't working with Fowler and Falk. They were trying to find the right mix with him, and that's not all on Fowler. It's the other guys as well. He's still shooting the puck a ton. They've played 13 games and he's already had 49 shot attempts. So he's shooting the puck a ton. He's just not picking up the assists. And I think the assists are part of the issue where your guys aren't finishing. So do I think he's going to finish the season with 60 points? Absolutely not. Do I think he's going to be probably right in line with what we expected of 40 points? Maybe. Yeah, because once the power play starts to get going a little bit more, he picks up points there. I think at 5-on-5, once you get into a comfort zone, and that comfort zone came because when he was acquired, the Blues were starting to get into a little bit of a routine anyway, and you just put him in with Colton Parayko, who was playing at his best. Fowler's issues are the Blues' defensive issues to where they needed to tighten things up with their system, and then once they did, they could start playing a little bit more freely. It felt like Fowler, along with Falk, along with Parayko and Broberg, got to that in the last 3 games, so he's the one that I feel like is coming, but I'm still waiting to see if he gets back to that elite level that he was.
Yeah, I think the one that I've seen it coming from is Holloway. He's looked better over the last couple of games. He's the only one for me, though, that I see it coming. Fowler, maybe because of the power play, like you said. I still haven't seen enough to make me feel confident in saying that he's going to get back to what he was last year for the St. Louis Blues. And I have no faith in Pavel Buchnevich getting back to that. He even played 8 games with Robert Thomas before the injury and didn't do a whole lot there at 5-on-5. I mean, he's only got 3 points at 5-on-5 this year and his 3 assists. He hasn't scored a goal at 5-on-5, and he looks almost lifeless on the ice. Maybe it does pick up as Robert Thomas gets going again, but I don't have any faith that Buchnevich is going to be the guy that gets back on track. If him and Fowler don't, I don't know what this looks like.
Buchnevich is the one that, is going to make this offense go. I think when the guy starts scoring, Fowler's points pick up. If I'm remembering this correctly, Buch has been with Thomas, but remember, they've also juggled around the centerman, too, when Thomas was out, or when Thomas was in. They put him down on the third line for a couple of games. They had him on the second line. He's the one that I feel like the Blues are saying, what do we do with this? He's just not engaged. And then it was that first game back with Robert Thomas when Thomas was playing at his peak to where it was like, oh, damn, Pavel Buchnevich. He was noticeable in that game the other night. Now, was that the Edmonton Oilers and he stepped his game up because it was McDavid? Was it Thomas coming back? Or was it finally something clicked for Buch? He's the one that you do need a little bit more consistency from.
And if you don't get it, maybe Snuggerud can replace some of that, right? Like, it doesn't have to be the exact same players that are putting up these numbers.
Dvorsky.
Sure, maybe Dvorsky is that guy. Maybe when Jake Neighbors comes back, he could be that guy. Whatever it is, I don't really care who the players are that produce for you. I care that you have players that are producing. And for Pavel Buchnevich right now, he's not producing, especially at 5-on-5. You look at it. His 2 goals this year both have come on the power play. He has not scored at 5-on-5 so far this year.
He's had his chances. He's not finishing.
It's inexcusable. Honestly, to be 13 games into the season, getting top line minutes almost every single night, and to not have a single 5-on-5 goal. I know that Thomas has missed a few games. Dude, you've played 9 games with Robert Thomas. You haven't scored once at 5-on-5. That's like legitimately hard to accomplish. Because Thomas is one of the best distributors in the NHL. And I know early on this season, maybe he wasn't at full capacity either. He wasn't playing his best. But he's still a good distributor. That's got to get changed. It's also a reflection of why Robert Thomas's numbers were low to begin the season. He didn't have guys finishing on his line. So they need to get better in that regard. Alex, it does appear that they are going to make a couple of line changes tonight going into this game. Buch is not among them. That top line remains Buch, Thomas, and Snuggerud, according to the team website, as they took the ice earlier today. Shin, Suter, and Kyrou on the second line. Holloway, Dvorsky, Sonny as the third line. The fourth line is where you will see, according to this projected lineup, a bit of a change. Torpo with Bukestad and Nathan Walker entering the lineup for Matthew Joseph. Do you like the change on that fourth line tonight?
Yes and no. Like, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I don't like Joseph coming out. I think Joseph has been one of the more consistent players for the team. But I think you need Nathan Walker in, specifically against the Capitals, who do like to play a little bit more physical with Tom Wilson out there, some of their defensemen. You needed to get Walker back into the lineup. I think that's more of an identity line with Walker out there that plays physical along with Toropchenko rather than Joseph and Toropchenko. So, yeah, you needed to put Walker in. I just don't know who else you were taking out. So it's like Joseph's just unfortunately the casualty of where you're at.
Back-to-back doesn't really bother me too much. I wonder if tomorrow you see Sonny get a night off. And you get Joseph in there for Sonny on that third line.
Would be my guess. Or Bukestad comes out, depending on what he does in this one, because he's had his peaks and he's had his valleys early on in the season.
I think it's totally fine and understandable to me to manage Sonny's health early on in the season. So that's the only reason I directed it toward him. Not because he's been performing poorly. I think he's been good. But just to, manage the workload a little bit, I could see something like that happening. On the defensive side of things, it's Broberg back with Parayko, Tucker with Falk, and then Cam Fowler with Logan Mailloux.
My guess is they want the veteran presence with Mailloux.
We're going back to that, huh?
Yeah. That's my assumption. Now, will it stick? Probably not, but that's my assumption.
Seem to be babying this thing along. At every turn, they're telling you with their actions, we don't trust this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, they shouldn't. Like, he's only, before the season, played 10 games in the NHL. There were going to be moments like this to where they do put a veteran out there. They just want to make sure he's playing. It's the same thing that they did with Tucker last year and Ryan Suter, where they had the guy out there.
The difference is, like, Cam Fowler's minutes are affected by the fact that he's with Logan Mailloux.
Yes, and they're going to be double shifting Cam Fowler. Like they're going to probably skip a shift with Tucker, and they'll put Fowler out there, or they'll skip a shift with Mailloux, and it will be Fowler with Mailloux, Tucker with Falk, then Fowler with Falk, and then they'll go back to Tucker and Falk.
I am curious, when you go back to last year, time on ice situations, like late in the season, let's say early March, go against this game against Anaheim. I'm just going to a random game. What the time on ice was for their third pair defensively.
Did we win that game?
They did 4-3. They won that game 4-3.
Those were the good old days.
Third pair defensively, Tucker played 11:35. Suter played 14. Of even strength overall time on ice, that's affected too much by the shorthanded. Yeah, they were getting 15-ish shifts.
Yeah, they didn't need a double shift.
More.
Well, and they didn't need a double shift Suter because they had Broberg, Falk, and Parayko and Fowler playing well. Like that was the other part of why they've been double shifting, because when they use Tucker up on that second pair, well, then they got to put Fowler up on that second pair. So I expected this. I expected growing pains with Mailloux. I expected them to try and slow play him into this, out of the lineup, into the lineup. I mean, having Fowler out there is a guy that's trying to keep it a little bit more simple than what Tucker and Mailloux may do.
Tucker was about 16 minutes a night down the stretch last year. The reason I'm bringing this up is because they are really pushing that top four. And I don't know how long that's sustainable. I don't know if you can play this style where you're playing 23-plus minutes a night every single night for each of your top four defensemen for the remainder of the season.
Especially with it being all condensed together as well.
And unfortunately, that's not just on Mailloux. I mean, Kessel's not playing very much either. Sure. Like, this is the position you put yourself in.
4 defensemen they trust, and sometimes a fifth when you add in Tucker.
And that is the part that you have to, serve two masters in terms of trying to win, but you're also trying to develop. You don't have what you had last year when it was Suter and Leddy, and then you could keep Tucker as the 7th defenseman and then put him in and out of the lineup. Now you've got 3 young guys essentially, that when you put them in there, you're going to slow play it.
He's Alex, that's T-Bone on BK. Blues back in action tonight. It's a back-to-back for them. Blues versus the Capitals this evening, 5:30 pregame with Alex Ferrario right here on 101 ESPN. Tomorrow, Blues at the Sabres. Alex will have another early start. He's liking these. 5 o'clock pregame tomorrow for the St. Louis Blues. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can check us out on YouTube, as always, at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Coming up in 15 minutes, is anybody in the NL Central going to try this offseason? Because it sure hasn't felt that way over the last few years. Seems like the answer is probably going to be no once again. We'll get into that in 15 minutes. But next, the college football playoff rankings, Alex. The first ones were revealed yesterday. What did we learn from it? I think there's at least one thing in particular that could be a potential doomsday scenario for the SEC that we'll get into next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. All right, so the first college football playoff rankings were revealed yesterday. I'll go through the top 12 for you real quick, Alex. By the way, there were no group of 5 teams ranked among the top 25.
I miss when the group of 5 used to have good teams.
Which means, as of today, Memphis, despite not being ranked, would be a college football playoff participant.
We don't need that, so
I'm sure
that doesn't happen.
I'm sure the Power Four is really going to enjoy that.
Yeah, they're going to love that. I think there's going to be some kind of a bylaw next year. Hey, if you're not ranked in the top 25, you're out. The next team that is up gets in. I think that would be a
Memphis.
fair one to have as well.
We'll have to change the rules for you.
Your top 12 as of today. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Indiana. Number 3, Texas A&M. Let's go ahead and stop there because I think that's the top tier in college football right now. They are the 3 undefeated Big Ten/SEC teams. Do you like the way that they ranked them? Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, based upon their current resumes.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I could hear the argument of Indiana being number 1, but I mean, you're going off of the team that won last year. So Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M.
I'd have Indiana 1, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think they've got the better quality win. They were on the road at Oregon, and Ohio State's got a good win. They beat Texas, but I mean, Texas is below Oregon in the rankings. So, but like, again, that little detail doesn't matter.
I heard them say yesterday on the broadcast, they kept getting into like the analytics versus the eye test. Analytics versus the eye test. I mean, their resumes are all relatively speaking pretty similar at this point in time. I would go Indiana 1, Texas A&M 2, Ohio State 3 based upon resume. If you're going based upon how I've viewed them as teams, I would go Indiana 1, Ohio State 2, Texas A&M 3. Either way, I think Indiana has been the best team in college football so far this year, but whatever. That stuff will take care of itself over time. And since they got rid of the Big Ten champion being the only team that gets the bye, these 3 teams are probably all getting a bye.
You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Ohio State's still the champs.
From there, 3 SEC teams coming up next. Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss. Feels about right to me. Those are 3 teams that I think are more or less in, barring something unforeseen. That's when it gets really interesting to me, Alex. At 7, they had BYU. At 8, they have Texas Tech. Those 2 teams from the Big 12 being ranked that high, despite not having the greatest strength of schedule. I had said yesterday, Alex, I think that the Big 12 is a 1-bid league. I think the ACC is a 1-bid league. I still feel that way about the ACC right now. The Big 12 is interesting. If you end up in a scenario where, like this weekend, Texas Tech beats BYU, that would be BYU's first loss of the season. Then you get into a scenario where they could play each other once again in the Big 12 championship game. And regardless of who wins that game, it's possible they would be ranked ahead of like a 2-loss Texas team or a 2-loss Oklahoma team, or if they lose one more game, a 2-loss Oregon team. That is the potential doomsday scenario for the Big Ten and the SEC, is BYU and Texas Tech splitting their matchups and both getting into the college football playoff. That was, to me, the biggest thing that surprised me from yesterday, is how high these 2 teams were ranked and what it could mean for the Big Ten/SEC once we get to the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, because when you look at their schedule, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, BYU hasn't beaten anybody that you could sit there and act as if they should be in this conversation, with the exception of, I guess, Utah.
Utah's good, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and look, this could all be for naught if BYU goes out there and beats Texas Tech, and then you're just talking about BYU in this conversation. But I agree with you, like in that doomsday scenario, because I don't know how you make an argument for any of these other SEC teams. Texas, there's no way I can make that argument. I don't even think they're in this conversation. Oklahoma, and then you get past that, Vanderbilt, Mizzou. Like, you're talking about these teams needing to win out to even put yourself in this conversation. But I mean, like, when I looked at it, surprised by Oregon being below them, Notre Dame being below them. But you're not wrong, because I asked you this in the office and I just didn't look at it. Oregon hasn't beaten anybody, and the one team that you lost to, or the one team you beat, didn't matter anymore because it's Penn State, and the one team you lost to, significantly better. So I don't know how you can look at this and say they've got a strength of schedule that deserves to be higher.
Agreed. It's just a lot of respect for the Big 12 that I didn't expect to see.
Agreed. And it goes to show they didn't punish Tech for losing to Arizona State with their backup quarterback, which I find interesting. Because Florida State, as we saw in the 4-team playoff, got punished after being undefeated and going into a game with their backup quarterback.
I think they crushed these rankings. I think they did a really good job. Now let's get to the spot that T-Bone's going to yell about. So I just mentioned 7-8. That's the Big 12 teams with BYU and Texas Tech. At 9, it's Oregon. We just talked about them a little bit in relation to BYU and Texas Tech. Not a whole lot of respect for them. They have not beaten anybody of significance so far this season. And I think there's a chance they need to win out just to get in. They do have 2 potential quality wins, maybe even 3, depending on how you view it. At Iowa, home against USC, at Washington. Those are 3 pretty big games that remain on Oregon's schedule, so maybe there's a little wiggle room there, but I'm not so sure about that. At 10, they have Notre Dame. Put a pin in that one here for a second. I think T-Bone probably has some thoughts. 11, Texas. 12, Oklahoma. And the real respect to the Big 12, in my opinion, is Utah coming in at 13, ahead of the teams that T-Bone thought should be ranked pretty high in the ACC, Virginia, Louisville. Those 2 teams have 1 loss. Utah has 2 losses on the season. They ranked Utah ahead of them, in my opinion, because they know the ACC stunk. That conference is no good. They barely deserve 1 bid, let alone multiple. Number 10, Notre Dame. It is really, in my opinion, the only thing that is controversial outside of like the number 1 ranking on this week's top 25. Notre Dame so far this season, their best win is at home against USC. They do have 2 losses on their resume, both of which could be considered like good losses. On the road at Miami by 3, and then at home against Texas A&M, who is now a top 3 team in the country, by 1. T-Bone, when you saw where they were ranked yesterday, what was your reaction?
I don't know if I was surprised, but I don't get all this love for Notre Dame, because right now them and the Big 12 love is what is going to hold out potentially an SEC school from getting into the playoff, like Texas or Oklahoma from getting in, because as we know, you're going to end up with a group of 5 that gets in. An ACC champion will get in along with potentially Notre Dame based on the way that this ranking is. And the reason I don't get it is, I mean, you mentioned, well, they've got 2 what you would consider quality losses. I don't care about your quality of losses. That's a loser's mentality. I want to care about what your quality wins are. And Notre Dame's only quality win so far on their schedule, you mentioned, was home against USC. And there's a chance they end up falling out of the top 25 with their schedule that's coming up. And then you look at the rest of their schedule. Okay, Pitt's at the back end on the road, 24. But if you beat Pitt, Pitt's going to end up falling out of these rankings. So I just don't see where the quality wins are coming for Notre Dame. I think them losing against A&M and at Miami is the kind of thing that they just shouldn't be able to recover from with their schedule.
So what I struggle with, though, T-Bone, is like if you're going to rank them lower, you have to rank somebody else above them.
That's my question.
And so, like, sure, maybe you don't love their resume. I think they are a reflection, though, of college football at large this year. There are very few resumes that I love. It's really just the top 3. Outside of that, it's a whole lot of like, okay, then the next tier is Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss from the SEC. And then you get into the Big 12 team / Oregon. And now you basically have, in my opinion, Notre Dame on its own, where you go by the eye test. They look really good to me right now. One of the best running games in college football, and their defense, which struggled early on in the season, has really turned it around lately. I look at teams that like Virginia and Louisville. Am I supposed to be overly impressed by their resumes? Because I'm not, frankly. They don't have overly impressive wins on their resume, and their losses are worse than the losses on Notre Dame's resume thus far. So that's where I struggle. Like, sure, I'm with you. I don't think that Notre Dame is this great, overwhelmingly fantastic team, but I don't have anybody else that I can clearly put ahead of them right now.
Because then you go to those other SEC teams. Like, I can't make an argument for Oklahoma or Texas. Like, I mean, who have they beaten? Like, Texas beat Oklahoma, which is a blemish on their resume, and Oklahoma's lost the last couple of games.
And this is where it gets complicated, because you mentioned Texas beat Oklahoma, because Oklahoma has 2 better quality wins on their schedule, in my opinion. They've got 2 top 25 wins based on the college football rankings, Michigan at home and then at Tennessee. But they lost to Texas. So, like, it's hard to put them over Texas, and the committee didn't. The committee put Texas over them.
Correct.
And then I look at the ACC, and it's so weird because, like, you look at Louisville. Louisville won at Miami. They did the thing Notre Dame couldn't do. Notre Dame couldn't go to Miami and win. They only have the 1 loss, but it's to the 1 loss Virginia, who doesn't have anything else there for them. But I just
also,
look at it and say,
eye test, Louisville's not as good as Notre Dame.
I agree. I also think that just winning matters. And I look at that and I go, Notre Dame doesn't have the quality wins that are necessary for the resume to me to put it. And all that is a moot point. Like, I feel like I'm just arguing for arguing's sake against Notre Dame. Because, like, Texas, Oklahoma, to me, I would put those two ahead of Notre Dame. Texas and Oklahoma, I also have to admit, have to win out in an incredibly tough schedule coming up. Where you look at Oklahoma, it's at Alabama versus Mizzou and versus LSU. And I can't remember who Texas got, but Texas got Texas A&M and then one other top 25 team as well.
Yeah, they also have Georgia.
Georgia, that's the one I was forgetting.
This is the thing about the rankings right now. They matter, and they give you breadcrumbs on what the committee is looking at. Like, what are the things that matter to the committee this year versus in years past? And there are a couple of things that seem to stand out in that regard yesterday. Ultimately, this is going to be determined by what these teams are able to do the rest of the way. Like, if you are somebody that is backing Virginia or Louisville today, if you're on T-Bone's side of the argument that we're having right now, well, Virginia can make their case pretty easily. Beat Wake Forest, beat Duke, beat Virginia Tech the rest of the way. If you do all of that, you're going to the ACC championship game. You've got a chance to be able to run the table the rest of the way. You're 11-1 at the end of the season. Guess what? You're going to get into the college football playoff. So who cares whether or not today you're ranked ahead of Notre Dame or not? The same thing is true for Louisville. If you think that Louisville's this great team, and you think they should, as of today, be ranked ahead of Notre Dame, you know how they can do that? Win out. Keep taking care of business. If you do that, then these rankings today do not matter. And if you're a Notre Dame fan and you think that what T-Bone is saying is crazy and it doesn't matter and like your team is better than all of these other teams, cool, beat Pitt on the road next week. Beat Navy, beat Syracuse, beat Stanford. If you do all of those things, you're in. So, like, the actual ranking itself just doesn't matter as much as it used to when it was the top 4, and that's it. Because there was so much less margin for error with these rankings than there are today. Mizzou fans, your case is basically the same.
It's over.
One, your team was ranked lower than the quality of the team has been this year. Like, they're better than the 22nd ranked team in the country based upon their resume. But you're without your starting quarterback. And so, Alex, you brought up the comparison that I was going to make earlier today, which is Florida State a couple of years ago, when Jordan Travis goes out, gets left out of the college football playoff because he's hurt. I thought it was the right move at the time. That's what's happening with Mizzou. They were docked because of a blemish on their resume, which is that their starting quarterback is not playing. If you think that Missouri's better than the 22nd ranked team, let's see it this weekend. Yeah, show it on the field. You're going to have every opportunity. If you beat Texas A&M on Saturday and Zollers looks great, dude, Mizzou next week could be like 14th in the rankings. They could jump all the way up. They could go up like almost 10 spots in the rankings.
They'll be the 5th best team in the SEC.
Exactly.
If you beat Texas A&M and then you basically wipe away Oklahoma and you finish off the season.
You would have a better win on your resume than Texas or Oklahoma have. Yep. And your losses are comparable to Texas and Oklahoma this year. So, like, if you are as good as some people want to believe, you'll bump right back up.
And you can wipe away this Big 12 conversation because you'll have the better win of either BYU or Texas Tech.
Then we can have a conversation about Mizzou versus Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Because the resumes would be pretty similar. And T-Bone, to your point on the, like, was it Virginia versus, or Louisville versus Notre Dame conversation of Miami as the common opponent, then Mizzou would have the win over Texas A&M. Yeah. Where that's the quote-unquote good win for Notre Dame. It's the good loss. Yeah. It's the good win for Mizzou on their resume.
Here's to hoping A&M sleepwalks through this weekend.
To go out on a limb and say I'm not anticipating that.
Oh, make it through your 3-point play Friday, BK.
I will. Don't worry.
Might, but I don't think it's going to be on the side that.
Come on, Zollers.
Coming up in 15 minutes, questions and answers. But next, is anyone in the NL Central even trying this offseason? We'll get into that next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues back in action tonight as they visit the Washington Capitals. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 5:30 with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 6:30 with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See him at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
All right, T-Bone. So earlier today, I was reading over on ESPN.com about what this offseason is going to look like in Major League Baseball. And the first question, what's the early word on top free agent hitters Kyle Tucker and Kyle Schwarber? Quote, the Cubs are likely going to let Tucker walk, end quote. It comes from Jesse Rogers of ESPN.com, who, not coincidentally, is based in Chicago.
Cool. So the Cubs are going to be a bad team next year?
Yesterday, they decided, we're going to go our separate ways with Shota Imanaga. Saw a radio host from Chicago who said, I think this is a good decision. He wants them to go after Dylan Cease or somebody else that he believes to be a better pitcher. I can see the argument in favor of that. I get it. If that's the direction they're going to go. But if they're not going to bring back Kyle Tucker, it feels difficult for me to envision a scenario where they're now going to take a plunge into the deep end of the starting pitcher free agent market.
Wasn't it the Cubs owner that said a few years ago that they were suffering biblical losses? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So we know where they're at.
Yeah, the Ricketts family.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The Reds, meanwhile, over in The Athletic, Jim Bowden put this in his piece. Quote, there have been rumblings in baseball that the Reds are going to listen to offers on starter Hunter Green, which makes no sense to me based upon his talent and years of control remaining.
I agree, Jim.
Makes
the
no sense to
Milwaukee
Terry
Brewers
Francona either.
Said they need to focus on MLB-ready talent, but they're probably going to listen to offers on Freddie Peralta. The Pirates are the Pirates. We know what the Cardinals are going to do this offseason. Is anybody trying to win?
No, Cardinals got to be thinking, boy, we're going to win the NL Central this year.
Suddenly, maybe they can be next year's Toronto
All right,
Blue
everybody
Jays.
Stays. Everybody stays.
Race to 82 wins. Here we come.
Arenado, you're here.
What is this offseason going to look like for the NL Central?
Awful.
I don't have the sounder, but wah.
The Brewers, that's what it's going to look like. The Brewers are going to be the best team, and nobody's going to be close to it. I mean, the Reds, sure. I mean, you're kind of a dumpster fire no matter what. You don't spend money. You got young talent. You're just going to trade them away. We'll just call you the Pittsburgh Pirates from now on. Pirates, like you said, they're the Pirates. But what are you doing, Cubs? You can't be this bad of a ownership-led organization to sit here and be like, cool, that 92-win season. Hope that was fun, everybody.
I think what they would tell you, now this is I'm simply relaying their message, Alex. I'm not telling you that I agree with this.
This will be stupid, but go for it.
They would say, we have Ian Happ, we have Pete Crow Armstrong, who for half of the season was an MVP candidate. We have Owen Cassie, who is one of their top prospects in their system. He is their version of J.J. Weatherholtz, they believe. And Seiya Suzuki can play the outfield. He's more of a DH type, but he can play the outfield in a pinch. So they have some similarities to, honestly, what the Cardinals have, where it's very crowded in the outfield. These guys are younger, cheaper, more cost-controlled. So why are we paying $300 million for Kyle Tucker when we have all of these internal options? We could just spend that money better elsewhere on our roster. I think that would be their sales pitch to you on why not bringing back Kyle Tucker makes sense.
And if I was in that office and that was their sale pitch to me and I was the general manager, I'd say, cool, we had all those guys the previous year. Kyle Tucker's what made our offense go.
Cassie is different. He's new. He's a guy that came up late in the season. And again, they think he is their version of J.J. Weatherholtz. They believe in the talent. I'm with you. I think I would trade one of Ian Happ or try to get rid of Seiya Suzuki and then keep Kyle Tucker. That would be the direction that I would go, because Tucker is a unique talent, and he's a guy that I think you can build around. And I think they're forgetting, like, you're the Chicago Cubs. Why are we acting like we're cheap and poor? Yeah. We shouldn't be that. We've got all of this business that's booming around Wrigley Field. Like, we have the Chicago Cubs brand. We're in Chicago, one of the top 3 markets in the country. Why are we operating this way? But
NL Central should just be called the NL Cheap Division.
It's crazy.
Because that's what it is. Nobody wants to spend. Even the Brewers, who are good, don't really want to spend money.
Even the AL Central's that way. The only team that's like trying by spending is BK's Royals. Like the Tigers are like talking about, well, like we're only $250 million off in our negotiation with Skubal, so like, do we
think
trade
he's gonna
him?
get traded, man.
I think he is too. Cleveland,
Dodgers.
Cleveland doesn't ever spend money. I don't know who else. Oh, the White Sox are the White Sox, and then there's some other team in that. Oh, the Twins,
and they're
like,
even worse.
and they thought they were going to sell the team, then realized,
don't
there's
get
not
it.
a market for it, so it's a shame we blew it all up and are in a rebuild.
Just don't get it, man.
Yeah, I don't get what the Cubs are doing because I agree with what Alex was saying. Sure, there is a cluster, but would I rather move on from the guy that's been top 5 in MVP voting just 2 years ago and Kyle Tucker, who had the second highest OPS on our team, or would I rather move on from like Suzuki, as you mentioned, or trade away a prospect, which, as it feels like teams have to always be reminded, are unproven commodities and are nothing more than a projection? How's that working for the Cardinals in their projection on Jordan Walker?
How's it working for them on their projection of Tyler O'Neill, who was their replacement for Bryce Harper?
Exactly. So like,
Or their
for
Bryce Harper.
Every lineup needs that superstar to protect their players so that they can
100%.
perform well.
And if you look at Pete Crow Armstrong's profile, it doesn't scream a profile that feels like it's going to be sustainable. Oh, something that we had talked about in the office in the first half, where it's like, man, look at what he's doing. And you look, and it's like, well, he chases a lot. He misses a lot. Feels very Javi Baez-esque. And they were willing to move on from that when he hit free agency, and Detroit's regretted that signing since. I could totally see where he just falls right back to earth and is more of what he was in the second half than he was in the first half. And then you just let this superstar walk out the door and didn't even want to negotiate with
Have
him.
you looked at his second half numbers?
Yeah.
It was
They
really
were
bad.
First half of the season, Pete Crow Armstrong, 25 home runs in the first 95 games, had an 850 OPS. Batting average was high, slugging percentage was 540. He was 32% above league average offensively. Second half of the season, he was healthy scratched for a number of games to try to get himself right mentally because he needed just a breather. He needed to get away from the game. He hit 215. His on-base percentage was 265. He hit 6 home runs in 62 games and was 30% below league average offensively. He finished the season roughly league average offensively last year.
And that's why if I'm the general manager, I'm going to look at the ownership that has what you said and say, that's who you're going to make our superstar moving forward?
And he's a good player. Like, even with the struggles offensively last year, if you simply said this is a 10% above league average hitter, he's going to hit 20-ish home runs, he's going to run into 20 home runs per year, and he's going to play that level of defense with his ability to help us on the base paths because he's got some speed as well, finished with 35 stolen bases last year. That is a plus player. He's a 4-ish win player. That's like Mason win plus. Again, a really nice piece. And Kyle Tucker.
He's just not a face of the franchise player.
And he's not a middle of the order hitter, if that's going to be what he is long term. So I don't really know what the plan is. And the reason that I'm bringing this up here is because, like, you look at the Central, there's a clear opening here for somebody to break through. Now, that somebody is probably going to once again be the Brewers. I don't know how. I don't know who the players are going to be on the roster, but they're going to do it. But when you look at, like, what's the case for the Cardinals next season, it's not an easy one to see. But the bar to clear is also lower than it is in basically every other division across Major League Baseball if they decide they want to clear it. One other thing to get into here, I mentioned the ESPN.com piece where they asked their insiders, hey, what are you expecting this offseason? Quote, Boston could be active in moving one of its outfielders, either Jarren Duran or Wilyer Abreu. One player widely expected to be moved in the trade market this offseason is St. Louis third baseman Nolan Arenado, who is willing to waive his no trade clause. So Arenado expected to be moved according to Jeff Passan. Also, the Boston Red Sox, they're anticipating moving one of their outfielders, Jarren Duran or Wilyer Abreu. I brought up both yesterday as interesting potential fits for the Cardinals. I do wonder if there is a big trade to be made between the Red Sox and the Cardinals this offseason. I don't know exactly what it would look like, but T-Bone brought up in our pre-show meeting, hey, it sounds like Boston might not be bringing back their third baseman, Alex Bregman, next year. Cardinals have, depending on which direction you want to go. Hey, you want Gorman? Cool, here you go. You want Brendan Donovan? Got that. You want Thomas Ajayci? Cool. You want Nolan Arenado? Great. We've got a bunch of third base options for you if that's the direction that you want to go, Boston. We also have Sonny Gray that we could offer for you. We've got some relief options for you. Jojo Romero, here you go. You want an outfielder to replace some of what you're losing here? Cool, we've got those in bunches. You need a first baseman? I've got Wilson Contreras. I've got Alec Burleson. I do wonder if Chaim Bloom says, hey, I like a lot of the players that I helped to develop there. Let's bring one or multiple of them over here to St. Louis to help me continue to build while we're here with the Cardinals. I think there's a potential fit there between the two sides.
Yeah, I find them interesting because like they feel like the team that you kind of do a little selling / shopping with, because you mentioned their outfielders. Like I would have a ton of interest in Duran, even Abreu. Abreu would make a ton of sense for the Cardinals to go into the corner now. That probably means you're potentially giving up on Walker if you don't move on from Burleson, but okay. I mean, Abreu's a proven commodity at this point. I find their decision at third base is going to be fascinating because they are the team that they feel like would be the one that says we would take Arenado, but I don't understand why they're willing to move on. You're the Boston bleeping Red Sox. Go spend money on Alex Bregman, who is your best hitter. It's just like the Cubs, who we were just talking about. You're in Chicago. Spend money on Kyle Tucker. I don't get what these big market teams are doing.
I want Jarren Duran, man. I don't know. It probably makes no sense for the Cardinals to do it, but I think he would be such a fan favorite here. He plays the exact style that would speak to Cardinals baseball.
He plays the exact way of Victor Scott, except he's good offensively.
He's better.
Yeah,
he's a better version of Victor Scott. He's a good defender, not as good as Victor Scott, but a good defender nonetheless. He hits for power. He has 27 triples over the past 2 seasons. Like, think about that. 27 triples over the past 2 years. He's a really, really good baseball player. And if you could add that to your outfield, a left-handed hitter replacing some of the production, like you trade from your left-handed bat surplus, you end up replacing some of that with Jarren Duran. I build around that dude. I built around that dude every day of the week. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, Philip Broberg looks the part of a legitimate number 1 defenseman. Is Alex ready to give a contract extension to him already? We'll get into that in 15 minutes. Questions and answers next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. We'll get back on clock coming up at the 12 o'clock hour. It is 12 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex
Good thing
jeweler.
is we won't kind of fade into another show's start.
Well, they'll tell you we will, but
The fast lane?
we'll get them in by 2:02.
They're always 3 minutes on top. Same time every day.
From the 636, Alex, if the Blackhawks called and wanted to swap 1-for-1, Bedard for Dvorsky, who says no?
The Blackhawks? Why would they even call? I mean, I understand Bedard may not have lived up to the potential that you'd want, and maybe Dvorsky has a hell of a shot. But, I mean, guys, Bedard was a generational talent. Like, he's on a really bad Blackhawks team that's hopefully starting to make some strides. So, I mean, yeah, Chicago doesn't even make that phone call.
You know what I would give for Dalibor Dvorsky to become the player that Bedard is?
It's
Like for
expected
3
to be.
years
Yeah.
now, what Bedard has been at the NHL level. If Dvorsky gets to there and does nothing more, never takes another step, is simply a 60-point producer, 20-plus goal scorer, if that is what Dvorsky becomes, dude, sign me up today.
And I know people...
So no, the Blackhawks would say no immediately.
And I know people are looking at what Macklin Celebrini's doing. And look, I'm not taking anything away from Celebrini. Dude's incredible. But they also... The moment they drafted Macklin Celebrini, they went out there and signed Tyler Toffoli, who is a consistent 30-goal scorer. That's a really good on a contending team. He's a second-line winger. You know what the Blackhawks gave Connor Bedard? Taylor Hall.
And Corey Perry, too.
Well, they got Corey Perry for 1 year, and then they traded him at the deadline. But they didn't give him anything around that was competitive. So people are down on Bedard. I think Bedard is going to be fine once they start generating more of this pipeline that they've invested in over years.
Do you think he's going to live up to expectations? I don't think he is. And
because he had Crosby-esque expectations on him.
And I don't think...
Which was always unfair.
Yeah.
And I don't think, yes, part of it is the situation. I also just watch him individually and go, nah, he's not what I thought he was going to be.
You know what? He's been better this year. He's gotten more physical. I don't think he's ever going to put up 40 goals. Macklin Celebrini might score 40 goals in the season.
I think Celebrini's a better player.
I think at the end of their careers, you're going to see very close to similar point production from both.
People push back on the whole, hey, size matters. There are certain thresholds that you have to get to. In the NFL, people get upset with that, with the quarterbacks especially. And then you watch Bryce Young, and it's the guy has a average arm, average mobility, and he's small. That doesn't work at the NFL level as well as it did in college when he was surrounded by elite talent at every position. That's why there are thresholds. And then you look at Justin Herbert and Josh Allen and these aliens that play the position that are 6'5", 260, and you're like, that works. They can also fail. Anthony Richardson, he had the size, the speed, the arm, everything. It didn't work. And now you see what it looks like with an average quarterback in the system. It's wow, that guy was really bad. Yep. So it doesn't mean because you have the requisite size, it will work. It means if you don't, though, it's that much harder for you to reach the ceiling. That is the thing for me with Bedard.
Yeah.
He is so small compared to other elite level players that he had to be otherworldly in every other attribute. And I don't think he is. Yeah. He's good. He's really good in some of those areas. But I think it limits his ceiling. That's why I brought up the comparison of the thresholds for the NFL.
It comes down to compete away from the puck. In that, this was 3 or 4 days ago, there was a clip that was going around on social media of Celebrini versus Mo Sider in the corners. They were playing Detroit. Celebrini just never let up. He's getting cross-checked. He just continued to fire back and came away with the puck and scored. Bedard's not doing that in the corners. Celebrini is. There's the difference. But I'd still take him over Dvorsky because you're talking about a talent that has the potential to get 100 points.
From the 314, guys, has your opinion on Drink staying or going changed within the last week? Not really. I've said all along, I think he will stay, but I can't feel confident in that until he signs an extension. So the fact that he has not, and it seems like will not sign an extension during the season, continues to leave that open. And I would say right now I'm 65-35 that he stays.
Yeah. To me, I can't worry about it with Drink until he signs on the dotted lines. I'm going to it's always going to be in the back of my head until something happens with these teams and then the Tigers basically say until Drink says I'm not going anywhere. But look, the fear of him leaving is still there because I've seen what it looks like without Eli Drinkwitz, and you don't want to have to deal with the Barry Odom era with another coach coming in.
Yeah, I'm 60-40, he stays. Mostly because the one that he's connected to a lot is Florida, and I don't get the appeal to leave for Florida. I think you're in a better spot at Mizzou.
From the 314, do you guys think that Brendan Donovan could fetch a top 5, top 50 prospect, etc.? And does the type of player matter? I'm not sure if this is asking like a top 5 prospect in Major League Baseball, but if that's the question, no. Top 50?
I think maybe like top 5 on a team, top 50 in Major League Baseball.
Ish.
That's probably what they were going after.
Yeah, maybe. And that's a true maybe. Top 100, yes. I think you could get a top 100 prospect for Brendan Donovan, but that's about it. A top 5 prospect in somebody's system, that's always tough because like some systems that means a top 50 prospect in baseball. Other systems that means a guy that's ranked outside of the top 100. So I'll just say like a top 100 prospect for Brendan Donovan I think is in play, but closer to the back half of that than the top half.
Yeah, I'm skeptical you get a top 100 prospect for him. I think you're getting like, if you do, he is, like you said, anywhere to that 90-100 range, but I think you're getting like 3 of a team's top 10. Like, I think the Luis Ariz trade is kind of what I'm looking at as the package, and they got 3 of the Padres' top 10 or top 15 prospects in that deal to the Marlins, and that's kind of what I think it's going to end up being like.
As a comparison point, Leo Bernal for the Cardinals is the 92nd ranked prospect in Major League Baseball. He is 4th in their system. I think you could probably get a prospect in somebody's system that is comparable to that. That's kind of the area that I would be hoping to get if you're a Cardinals fan. I could also see them saying, you know what, we're going to get some kind of MLB return. We're going to get a guy that is ready to go at the big league level, which changes the level of prospect. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to get into NFL quick hitters. At 12:30, we'll talk to Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues. But next, Philip Broberg looks like a legitimate number 1 defenseman right now. Is that changing the outlook for him getting a contract extension here in St. Louis? We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Philip Broberg looks like a legit #1 defenseman right now, Alex. We had the conversation all offseason. At what point do you decide, hey, it's time for us to potentially extend Philip Broberg?
No.
Is that time soon?
Yeah. No, it's now.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know if his appetite's ready to sign it or if the Blues' appetite's ready to sign it. Doug Armstrong's mindset, he said it. Like, he's not going anywhere. He's ours. He's a restricted free agent, and if somebody offer sheets him, we're just going to sign him. But, I mean, last season was hey, it's the first year of Broberg. Let's pump the brakes a little bit before we sit here and act like, oh, they got to sign him. You want to see what it looks like. I know it's been a slower start for him. I think he's a -3. The entire season that this team has played, 13 games, and even when they've been awful, he's been one of the best players on the ice. Like, consistency, I know what I'm getting from Broberg. Are there going to be moments that you're like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah, probably, but he's 24 years old. But I saw that Rono analysts that put just kind of like stat cards out for players in terms of measuring their impact and what they do. 88 offense, 75 defense. Obviously, 100's important.
Yeah, those are percentiles.
Yes.
So among NHL defensemen, he's better defensively than 75% of them. And 80, you said 88?
88 on the offensive side.
Better than 88% of defensemen on the offensive side of things.
and
That's despite 5 points in 13 games. He's been that good at driving offense for the Blues.
And it's all about the impact that he has. And they didn't have a measurement on his role difficulty, but I think that's going to change now if he stays with Parayko because you're going up against the best. But I think the Blues, and this is just me assuming, I think they learned their lesson of what it looks like when you lose a guy who's got top pair potential. I still believe Parayko is a top pair defenseman. Others may not agree with that. I think he plays that way, but you're on the other side of it. I still think he's going to be highly competitive, but you're not 24 years old. Broberg's 24 years old. Like, you haven't even hit the threshold yet. What is it? McKenna said it was 200 games played by a defenseman before you know what you've officially got. Broberg's played 162. So, yeah, I would look at this and say, what do you want? Because I think right now you're seeing a lot of defensemen go anywhere from $8.5 to $10 million. You're going to be here. You're an RFA. We're not letting you go anywhere. But the core of this team moving forward, Broberg's a part of it, and I'm ready to lock that up.
Yeah, I would look to extend him as well. And if I'm not mistaken, right now you can still get him at 8 years rather than in the future
before
where
the offseason.
In the offseason, it will be limited to 7 as the maximum for the team that is the team that holds the rights to him. I'm with you. I would look to do it with Broberg now and as soon as possible. I would give him the full 8 years. I would figure out what he wants as the AAV. It's a contract that would age perfectly because as the cap continues to rise, within 4 years, you're going to have yourself a bargain of a guy that looks like a #1 defenseman. I don't have any questions of him slowing down. I expect that he's only going to get better as he starts to age more into his
prime.
prime.
He'll be 32 at the end of that if they sign that 8 year. Because I don't know if he's got an appetite for that. Maybe he goes 5 and then says, I'm going to be 30 before I hit the market again. But, man, Monty talked about it after that Oilers game to where, you know, they put the label up there every game to where it's like most dangerous player on the ice. And he joked that before the Oilers game, they put up in their team meeting MW, most dangerous man in the world, for Connor McDavid. And he said, I looked at Broberg's eyes, and Broberg's eyes were like, okay, we'll see about that. And if that dude's taking that as a challenge, man, that's the competitor mindset that I think you need to build around on your defense.
If you wanted to get him on an 8-year deal, because of what you're talking about, like now is the time where you would have to do that. What do you think the AAV has to be? Because the longer for him, it's interesting. The longer you go, actually, the more expensive it becomes because you're buying out more of his years. And so, like, a lot of the time, it's the longer you go, AAV goes down. That was the case with Shin. Like, a lot of these deals that the Blues do, they get a lower AAV, longer on term because they're up there in age. But because Broberg's 24, you're effectively buying out his prime. So he has no other bites at the apple of, okay, yeah, I'm going long on term, but I'll get back to free agency before my age, 29 season. That's what he would hope to do if he did a 5-year deal, for example. If you did an 8-year deal, what do you think his agent would need to see AAV-wise to make it worth their while?
9, probably the starting point, 9.
I was thinking 9.5.
Probably.
I was thinking the Noah Dobson deal.
And I was thinking 10, so.
Yeah, I would say 9.5. Like, and IROC made a good point on the YouTube chat. His agent's Darren Ferris. And for people that don't know, Darren Ferris is kind of the Scott Boras of hockey, to where he doesn't let his guys sign extensions. He likes to see him get to the unrestricted free agency. So it wouldn't surprise me. And if I'm not mistaken, Broberg's got this control, obviously, as an RFA, but he's got control for the next 3 years before he's a UFA. So he'd be 27 when he's a UFA. So do they sign him to a 4-year deal, then buy out that 1 year of unrestricted free agency, and then reassess? Maybe, but yeah, I think the starting point is $9 million. Then you negotiate from there.
I would look at if I'm his agent, I'm looking at Dobson, and I'm looking at what he's produced in his NHL career. He's 26 years old right now, and he's playing 23 minutes a night. Most of his career, he's been 45 to 50 points. I would say that's Philip Broberg.
Yeah.
Broberg's a 45 to 50-point producer. He's going to play 23 minutes a night. He's going to be somebody that is probably better defensively than Noah Dobson. I'm not accepting a penny less than what Noah Dobson has.
Yeah.
Because the price of business only goes up, especially as we're about to see this cap spike. So if Dobson is at 9.5 for 8, and that's where he's at right now, I'm at a minimum getting 9.6. Because I'm going to beat that deal as an agent. And realistically speaking, because you're getting so many years, you're probably talking about 10.
Yeah.
And that's like where the negotiation begins.
And honestly, I'd sign it. Because
I think it's worth it. Because you can't replace this.
No.
They've been like meandering in the wilderness for defensemen for 5 years now to replace the last guy that they had in this way.
He's the left side Colton Parayko with more offensive upside. Like, his points don't match a 50-plus player, obviously. When this team starts to get more consistent offense on the forward position with Dvorsky and Carbonneau and Stenberg on top of Snuggerud with Thomas, you're talking about a guy who could put up 50-plus points on top of being a shutdown defenseman. Those guys go for 11.5-plus. So you do a bridge deal to get him to UFA status, and let's say he's eating 24 minutes a night, scoring 50 points a season. That's starting point 11 mil. So 10 mil is a steal if you get it done. Again, I don't know if he signs that. A lot of this comes down to the player too. The agent can want one thing. The player could say, I don't want to leave St. Louis. I like where I'm at. I like the role I'm in. I'm a number one defenseman. I'm on a team that's on the up. I want to sign here. And then it's just a matter of what's reasonable for my client.
Text line says 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Guys, he doesn't produce offensively like Dobson, but he is a little better defensively. He's pretty close. He's pretty close to Dobson. I mean, early on in Dobson's career, he was a 50-ish point producer. He had one season where he got up to 70, and that was the outlier so far in Dobson's career. Otherwise, he's been basically that 50-ish point producer. You look at Broberg. I mean, last year he was on pace to be a 45-ish point producer if he had played the full season and was healthy the whole year. And this season, he's already basically a half a point per game player, which is roughly 40.
Yeah.
So he's not all that far off, and that's without the power play time.
Yeah,
that
Dobson he will get too.
Has been able to get in his career, where Dobson is getting, about half of his points are coming on the power play. So think about that. If you add another 15 to 20 points to Broberg by putting him on the top power play unit, for example, you're talking about a 50-plus point producer with top 10 percentile defensive metrics.
Going up against the other team's best players.
6'5", 210 pounds, skates the way that he does, wraparound goals the way that he does, left side, it's a unicorn.
Yeah.
You don't get that guy.
No.
So if he's asking for $10 million a year,
lock it up.
Let's do it.
Yep.
And it's going to hurt. You're going to have some sticker shock at the very beginning, and you'll look at it, you'll say, that's a top 5 paid defenseman in the NHL. What are we doing? And then you look at it 4 years from now and say, oh, okay, he's the 20th highest paid defenseman in the NHL. Yeah. That's the way that these kinds of contracts will age. So
yeah.
I agree with you, Alex. I think we're getting very close to the time where the Blues should get something done with him.
Yep. You're building towards something. To me, that's the king among chess pieces on your defensive side moving forward. Like, that's the guy that you go to every single night and say, hey, you got to match up with the best. And he's like, cool, when am I ready? Or when do you need me and what do you need?
Really good comp. I'd say I would say it's the queen of your chess pieces, but just a
who's the king then? If it's
the goalie, I mean, he's the guy you got to protect.
I said of the defensive core.
Yeah,
you can't have 3 chessboards.
Oh, yeah, you can. Well, I mean, you wouldn't play chess with a goalie. It's only one piece.
Broberg does a little bit of everything, so he's like kind of the queen of the.
My point, you can't have 3 chessboards.
No. Learn chess, nerds.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into our conversation with Chris Kerber. He's the voice of the Blues. But next, NFL Quick Hitters here on 101 ESPN. With Alex and T-Bone on BK, time for some NFL quick hitters here on 101 ESPN. So, Alex, yesterday we mentioned as we finished up the show at 2 o'clock, the Fast Lane will have all of the other updates on what happens in the next hour prior to today's NFL trade deadline.
And there were a ton of them.
Literally nothing else happened.
Yeah, what the hell, Buffalo? That's the one team I'm so pissed off at.
Buffalo did nothing. The Patriots did nothing. The Chiefs did nothing. The only team that significantly improved yesterday, that considers itself to be a contender, is the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
That's it. Everybody else basically stood pat. The Jets decided not to trade. Their running back who's on an expiring deal.
Basically on social media the entire time going, trade me, trade me, trade me, trade me.
They gave away their best defensive tackle. They gave away their best cornerback. And I thought both were smart moves. You get offered a first and a second round pick for Quinnen Williams, you got to take it. You get offered 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. Got to take it. Especially as you're in this, whatever this window is for them. Smart. If somebody's only willing to give you a 4th-round pick for Breece Hall, take it. the odds are you're going to get less than that in comp picks by him walking in free agency after the year. But whatever. What was your biggest takeaway from yesterday?
I mean,
and what did and did not take place?
Mine was Buffalo. I mean, I think you missed your opportunity. The Chiefs didn't do anything. Like, if you're Buffalo and, you know, big brother who continues to push your face in the mud every time you get to the postseason, and you have a chance to actually make yourself even more dangerous than what you potentially are now, and you just sit on your hands, and maybe there was nothing out there. Maybe they tried, and, you know, the big-time deep threats on the offensive side or secondary pieces weren't available, and they said, look, there's nothing we could do. There's no point in just doing something for something's sake. But I hate that when one team is very aggressive in the conference and then the other team that probably should be stands around and does nothing.
Do you want to hear what Brandon Beane had to say about what took place yesterday?
Man, I had to get through that one real quick. Yes, Brandon Beane. Tell me what he said.
He's their general manager for the Buffalo Bills, and he said, quote, "I got home at the end of the day and went, damn, that was a waste of time. Trade deadline is hard."
I don't think that's a good look.
For some reason, I really like that. Just blast into the driveway after being at the office for 24 hours straight. Damn, that was a waste of my time.
So they tried. They just failed to get anything done, apparently. So
Buffalo did try. Are you daft? Shut up, Mo Turf Boater. I don't know what that means. Probably
Boater. I don't know.
Can't say that on the air.
My biggest takeaway from yesterday was the Jets, obviously. But we talked about that. If you missed any of our conversation about it, check out the podcast page from yesterday. But other than that, it was, man, prices must have just been too high. And I wonder if it was artificially set that way because of what the Jets did.
Yeah.
Where people were like, okay, clearly this is a seller's market. And then the other buyers were like, no, it's not. You don't have Quinnen Williams. You don't have Sauce Gardner. Both of whom have like 3 years remaining of control. They're in their prime and they're top 5 players at their respective positions. So if you're going to sell me, you know, the 50th best receiver in the NFL, I'm not giving you a 3rd-round pick for that guy. You can have a 5th. And maybe because I'm being nice, we can put some qualifiers on here to where it becomes a 4th. But I think maybe what ended up happening is these prices were set a bit too high by the sellers because of what the Jets were able to get in return, and that kind of ruined the market for everybody else. So it sucks. It makes kind of the rest of the way a little bit less intriguing, but, you know, a lot of really good teams.
Also makes the Colts look like a really good move to pay that price when nobody else upgraded. It makes your team better. I know you don't like it, but I mean, you're the only team that was aggressive in the AFC.
It's one of those moves where, like, if they win the Super Bowl, 100% worth it. And I will have nothing negative to say about it because it was worth it, because you win the Super Bowl, every move worked. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, in my opinion, it will be looked back upon as one of the worst moves of the last decade. To give up 2 first-round picks for a cornerback making big money. Because you effectively lock yourself into this core. You have no more outs. Because Daniel Jones now has to be your quarterback for the next 3 to 5 years. And you're building around this group of players. I don't know that that's a position that I would want to be in if I'm the Colts. Again, if you don't win the Super Bowl. If you do, though, hey, man, it's all found money.
Yeah.
From here, whatever.
Banners fly forever.
Re-sign Daniel Jones to $50 million a year. Who cares? You won.
Yeah, the one thing that really surprised me, and it was because of the idea of, okay, maybe this was a seller's market when all those moves did occur. You know, the Jets not trading Breece Hall, whatever. Like, it would have been a big move, but it would have been like a third, fourth round pick you're getting for him. I'm surprised that Trey Hendrickson wasn't moved. I thought we were going to see him. When I saw
It's
what
the Bengals, man.
I know when I saw what the Jets did, I was like, oh, somebody's going to give up something for Trey Hendrickson. Like, they're going to make the move, because I thought somebody in the NFC would do it, and that somebody was the Rams sitting on 2 first. I thought that screams LA.
It goes back to the conversation that we just had. He is not in his 20s. He is not under control for 3 to 5 years. And because of that, you don't get a first-round pick. You certainly don't get multiple first-round picks. You get a third. You get a second.
Agree,
at best.
Trey
Hendrickson is on an expiring deal this year, and he's making big money, and he's in his 30s, and he's had some injury questions this season. So you add all of that up, you're not a first-round pick. That's not what you're worth. And the Bengals were apparently holding out to get at least a first-round pick, if not more.
I agree. I got to look up real quick how old this player was when the move occurred. When you are pushing all your chips in, you don't care about age. Von Miller was 32 when the Rams gave up a first for him.
Yep.
And
Von Miller is a different player than Trey Hendrickson. I like Trey Hendrickson. Von Miller is one of the best defensive ends of this era.
I get it, but when you are the Rams and you're running out of a window with Matthew Stafford, I am surprised they did not pull the trigger, especially with 2 firsts, right? I'm not saying you give up both of those first-round picks, but when you're sitting on 2, that naturally means you got 1 you can move on from.
And
so
you did say flags fly forever, and I mean, you're the best team in the NFC, better than Detroit, better than Philly if you make that move.
And that move separates you 100%. Like, that is the thing that I am surprised by. Because the AFC, like, if the Chiefs or the Bills made the big splash, yeah, they really separate themselves, because I view them as 1 and 2 right now. And maybe the Colts are that third team. NFC, there's like this massive logjam between like 1 through 5, I would say, right now. You go out and make that move, give up 1 of your 2 first-round picks. Now you're talking about a team that's over the edge and should be viewed as the favorite out of the NFC.
Maybe they view it as, because there's such a big logjam in the NFC, it's harder to emerge, even with that move that you're talking about. So, like, the bar to clear is just that much higher. You've got the Eagles that you've got to beat. You've got the Packers that you've got to beat. You've got the Lions that you've got to beat. The Seahawks are no slouch. They're a really good football team. 49ers, same thing. Really good football team. There's no guarantees the Rams even win their division, much less win the Super Bowl this season. So you have all of that you have to overcome. Whereas in the AFC, yeah, man. Chiefs and Bills can look at this and say 1 move could have potentially legitimately put us over the top.
My speculation would be it wasn't a Rams call, it was the Bengals call.
I agree.
And that's what, because I think the Rams would have done it. Les Snead's a madman.
A first-round pick for a guy on an expiring deal is just, it's super aggressive. Like, overly aggressive.
Hey, man. They've done it before. I know you're saying Von Miller is a better pass rusher. I agree. They did that for Von Miller.
Yeah. Hall of Fame players, I'd do that for. I'm not doing that for Trey Hendrickson. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to get into the junk drawer.
T-Bone.
But next,
he's wrong.
We're going to talk to Chris Kerber. He's the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN.
the folks at Classic Air Care want you to know that the single easiest and best can do to help maintain your HVAC unit, maintain that furnace throughout these upcoming winter months, is just simply change the filter on a regular basis. You know, the filter, the less work the unit has to do, the less stress the unit has. That is really the only and the best thing you can do to keep it running. If then what after that, well, you make sure that they come out, and Classic Air Care will come out, do a maintenance check on them, make sure everything else is running right, make sure that the temperature variance between right at the unit to the farthest vent is where it needs to be, make sure that it's blowing at the right force so you get that hot air and keep your house comfortable. You can go online at classicaircare.com. You can set up on it today. They've got spectacular maintenance plans as well. And you go, okay, why do I need a maintenance plan? Well, number one, you get a better discount. Number two, you get priority when it comes to schedule. Number three, it's out of sight, out of mind. You know you're going to be calendar to have them check it ready for the winter and have them check it ready for the summer as well. It's really, they got a 4.8 Google rating. Why? Because their service is that good. And when service is going on and sharing how good their experiences are, you can see some of those reviews at the top of their website. It's Classic Air Care, classicaircare.com, 26.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues back in action tonight as they visit the Washington Capitals. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 5:30 with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 6:30 with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. And the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, joins us next here on BK and Ferrario. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, happy to go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by the voice of the Blues. He's Chris Kerber, joining us as he does each and every Wednesday on BK and Ferrario. Kerbs, how you doing today, man?
BK, doing good. How are you?
Doing very well. Looks like the Blues are going to make a couple of tweaks to the lineup, at least according to the projected one that we saw. What did you see from morning skate, and what did you make of the changes?
You know what? I actually asked Jim Montgomery after the skate, BK, about, normally you don't see, after a team plays a really good game and gets a win, you typically don't see a lineup change. And in this case, we're seeing two. I said, is that something that you typically do? And he said, look, he goes, at this point in time of the season, I thought we could use a little more physicality in the lineup tonight. I think both those guys bring it. And then what he added to that was, I also don't want guys sitting out of the lineup too long. So I want them kind of going in and out, and we have that flexibility to do that. He said, no, he goes, we're talking 20 games to go in the regular season. That's not happening. So to me, I think it's all situational for him here as he makes the lineup changes that he made.
Curbs, this game for me kind of feels, I don't want to say important because we're still early on in the season, but we've been hearing the team talk about how they feel like they're making strides towards getting back in the win column. We saw them do that against the Oilers. They're doing everything right. It's just not showing up on the final score. They're taking on a team that's in the middle of a 4-game losing streak and also has been having a rough time of scoring. Why I feel like it's big is because this is an opportunity for the Blues team to say, hey, what we've been striving for, now we're putting it together consistently, and you're keeping a team down, whereas times in the past the Blues have struggled with teams like this.
Yeah, you know what? Go back through a lot of what you just said there. Number one, they weren't doing everything right, and they know it, and that's why they were losing. There were breakdowns. There were things that were starting to go in the right direction, but they just weren't getting it consistently shift by shift, line by line. That was one of the best complete games they had against Edmonton, and you're right. It does feel like it's a really important game because you want to see if something builds on that, and you want to know whether or not you can build on that with a good one tonight, playing a desperate Washington team, or do you go back to saying, we're still inconsistent? And it feel like, it's sort of like every time you go to build with blocks and, your kid comes over and knocks them all down. You got to start over every time. And then when you get past where they knocked it over last time, like, okay, we just got further, right? And it's good. Well, that to me is kind of where the Blues mentally are with things right now. But again, just being such a realistic, thought process to his approaches with Jim Montgomery, he says, we're playing a desperate team tonight, but we are the ones with a 4-7-1 record. We are the ones that need to be playing with that kind of desperation. So that's what I'm curious to see is to your point, is how they come out and do they continue to take it to the Washington Capitals the way they played against the Edmonton Oilers? Yeah,
hopefully they'll have the same reaction in that blocks analogy that my 3-year-old does, because the first time you knock it down, she stands up, picks the block up, and chucks it at you.
Oh, well, no, you can't let that happen, dude.
Well,
you can't let that happen. They can't throw it at you.
Well, I know, but
they can't throw it at you.
Did I don't know what to tell you. She did, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll adjust this, I guess.
Ooh, I guess we're putting the blocks away until you learn you can't throw them at me. Right.
All right, Curb. So we went earlier today through what the Blues did so well in that post-Four Nations face-off stretch, because they played great hockey, right? We know they had to go on that unbelievable run in order to make it into the postseason. And we went through some of the numbers for the team. And we know the style of play was amazing, but also numbers-wise, like Thomas had 40 points in 26 games. And a lot of that was because the people that he was playing with, his line mates, were playing at such a high level. You had Kyrou point per game, Holloway point per game, Booch point per game. And then on the back end, Fowler had 22 points in 25 games as well. When you look at what they're getting right now out of Holloway, Booch, and Fowler, do you think they're starting to find their game? And if not, what needs to happen for things to click into place for those three players in particular?
I don't know if they're starting to find their game. I just know that their production isn't where it needs to be for this team to succeed. Everybody you mentioned there is counted on to produce. And yes, you have to back check. Yes, coach wants you to be in the high forward, and you're the high forward, that kind of stuff. Yes, you've got to do the little things, get back in the zone and defend. But you're also being paid to produce. And if you really just cut through it all, you need production there. So, and I'll look, and whether you Thomas, Kyrou, Holloway, Buchnevich, those guys, honestly, those are the guys you want to see on the score sheet every single night. And look around the league. There's guys getting 80, 90, 100 points, and it is possible. And I think a couple of these guys have the skill to do it, right? But you definitely need it really is such a team game when it comes to that. So are they starting to find their game? I don't know. Like Holloway, I know has been playing hard. It's just sometimes you do get the bounces. I really liked Buchnevich's game in that last game, and I know it wasn't on the scoreboard. But there's a difference when you see a skilled player that can produce, that's still willing to do the little things to win the puck out of the corner for you, versus the ones that will turn it over a lot and not go into the corners to win it. And so, and he did get a couple of chances there. And I'll go back to that 18-19 season when Jaden Schwartz really had an off year from a goal-scoring standpoint. But, boy, he seemed like he was getting chances, and then it obviously lit up for him in the playoffs. So I don't know how to honestly, BK, analyze are they starting to find their game? I do know that whatever that game looks like, if you're going to be successful and you're going to take some stress off the back end and you're going to take some stress off your goaltenders, those top players need to be producing like the top players that are getting paid to produce.
Well, one guy, Curbs, that, I mean, you can use the eye test on and feel like it's just continuing to be at a high level is Broberg. That Edmonton Oilers game, I mean, Montgomery had a great quote about him basically feeling hungry to take on Connor McDavid. He looks like he's the part of a top pair defenseman, Curbs. I know he's 24 years old. Armstrong's made it clear he doesn't really want to have those conversations yet, but do you think we're getting closer to maybe they start to look at Broberg and say, we've got to find a way to make sure he's not going anywhere?
I think they already know that. Listen, guys, I don't think he's going anywhere anyway. I don't think either one of those guys is going anywhere. They're restricted free agents. Whoever steps up with something, the Blues are going to match unless it's just ridiculously high. So it's honestly, it's not even a worry in terms of whether or not they're going to get him locked up at some point in time. You know what I'd like to see with him and some of the other guys like, Snuggerud, I think is going to get there. I think Dvorak will get there. Robert Thomas, I want to see a little more selfishness with the puck. Keep it and make some stuff happen. Win it. Don't let them take it away from you. Create. And I think that he can do that. I really have liked his game. I think, and I mean, Monty was real blunt. He goes, well, the one thing I know about the Washington game, Broby will be with Parayko, he said. So, and that did ring true at the morning skate. But when he is skating, especially with a pairing like Parayko, when he is skating and really moving those feet and the guys are hitting him in stride with passes, he's hard as hell to defend as a defenseman. And if we can see defensemen around the National Hockey League, like I'm watching John Carlson getting 65, 70 points, right? And that's not knocking Carlson. I know he and Todd Reardon worked on that for a long time in terms of his expectations here in Washington. I look at a couple of the players the Blues have, and I go, I just don't see a reason why some of these guys can't do it. So whether it's system, selfishness, shooting, creating, attitude, all that stuff, it's got to come together, and I think there's a lot more production in some of these Blues players than we're seeing.
Chris Kerber's the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN. Kerbs, at the risk of setting you off for a 7-minute tirade, I do want you to know we've got about 2 minutes left here in this segment.
Okay.
There has been a lot of conversation about the disconnect for the Blues when it comes to their expected goals and their actual goal performance
I'm
so far
take
this
a seat
season.
here.
I am curious, from your perspective, when you see stuff like that, what are you seeing right now that would lead to that disconnect, if anything?
The crazy thing is that number in and of itself, I don't think tells much of a picture. When you combine it with other numbers, for example, how more nights than not they're leading the other team in terms of offensive possession time, right? Things like that. And then I look at what I saw in practice today, and Jim Montgomery ran a 3-on-3 down low drill. And the one thing he was barking is, once you've beaten your man, get inside the dots. And they were working out of the corner, and once the forward spun off the defense, he wanted that puck and everybody getting inside the dots to create havoc. To me, they've had the puck way too much on the outside. They've been able to control it there. They haven't been able to penetrate the middle of the ice enough. And when they do get it, they get some scoring chances. They're just not bearing it. So to me, when I look at the numbers you bring up, BK, that I think is one of the biggest things. They're not creating enough of those chances. And when they are getting them, they're not bearing enough of them because they've still got to get to the middle of the ice. And Jim Montgomery said again today that to him, the physicality part of the game is the next step he wants to see, and that will create more of those chances.
Keep going back
for a calm answer to that. Huh?
That was a great answer.
It was concise too, because expected goals. I know Curbs likes to take that.
I keep
going back. I was just throwing you guys curveballs. Yeah, I wasn't going to go. I'm not. Well, listen. In all honesty, I don't want to come across. I'm not anti-analytic at all. I believe numbers tell something, but numbers have to tell something within certain context, and you have to look at it. I take those numbers, and then I look at what the team is doing and how they're coaching, what practices are like, and it adds context to what they're trying to do.
You throw them back into BK's face the way that Alex's kids throw them back into his face.
The build a block.
Not my face, more the general chest area, but it happens. She's got an arm.
You're even working on that chest there.
I keep going back to, I'm going to get this out eventually.
You got like 2 minutes, man.
I keep going back to that Pius Suter goal at the end of the last game where you have the shot from the point with the defense. You're in transition. Get the shot to the point. He puts it on. you've got a deflection or you've got the rebound opportunity there. Pius Suter is right in front of the net. They've created a mess there, and Suter puts it in the back of the net. That happened so many times, Curbs, last year in that stretch after the Four Nations face-off, where that was the way they were playing. And this year, it felt like a rarity that they actually had that opportunity. It's such a simple play, but we just haven't seen as much of that this season as we did a year ago.
So you got to go back on that Pius Suter goal, and he's going to get a lot of credit for being in front. Number one, he was in front of the net. He found it. Braden Shen made that whole play happen from the corner. It's got to start there. So what were we just talking about? Once you beat the man, once you got to get it there, you got to get it inside the dots. And if you look at where Parayko was, he was on the left side of that right dot. Number one, great play by Shen. Number two, one-timer by Parayko, which didn't allow the other team to set up. Number three, a good shot that was hard for the goalie to handle. And number four, you had a player on the doorstep to bang it in. Yeah. Look at the Dvorsky goal. Great pass by Falk. It was where Dvorsky could one-time it. Go watch the replay of that goal. He didn't even swing all the way back. It was like a half swing, and look how whippy that shot was. One-timer. The one-timers are a weapon. They've got Snuggerud, they've got Dvorsky, they've got Parayko, they've got Falk, they've got Holloway, they've got guys that can use the one-timer. One, we need to see more of them, and two, passes have to be delivered more where the guys can actually shoot with the one-timer. And when you do, more broken plays and plays like that are going to happen, and I think we need to see a lot more of it.
Curbs, appreciate the time as always, man. Looking forward to the call tonight. Blues versus the Capitals. Pre-game coverage with Alex begins at 5:30. Puck drop for this one right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN, tonight at 6:30. Enjoy yourself in the nation's capital. We'll talk with you again next week, Curbs.
All right, guys. Have an awesome day.
See
you next week.
That's Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joining us here on 101 ESPN.
Adding on to that, he's so right in terms of the one-timer. You got to hit the net, too. Because how many times have we seen them take shots that miss the net and rim off the board and go out of the zone, and then they're resetting? Like, Matt Kessel had about 4 chances in that game against the Oilers to put the puck on net and cause chaos. He missed it, and it was one and done. Parayko hit the net on that one-timer, which caused the goalie to drop it, which caused the rebound chance. Doesn't matter if you don't hit the net.
He's Alex Estevon on BK. Coming up next, Junk Drawer here on 101 ESPN. All right, Alex, let's dive into the junk drawer. What do you have for us today?
I got something to complain about, boys. Haven't had this one in a while. No, come on, I haven't complained about much in a while. This
You were
one's
literally
actually
yelling at the top of your lungs right before we walked into the studio today.
What was I? Oh, well, yeah, it's because Ryder and BK pissed me off, but that's fine. We'll move past
we
that.
talk about it?
No, I've forgotten it.
I
tell
did.
you.
We'll remind you.
So we were asking about the lineup for today's show, and Alex has some sources.
I guess BK
that
wants
he
to
was
just go
able
into pissing me off again for a
to
day.
get the lineup from.
not
So he
hard.
texted them and said, hey, what did it look like today at morning skate? And they said, here's what it looked like. And we asked him what the changes were. And he said it was, what was it?
26 in for 71.
Oh, yeah.
And then I didn't get to the second one because you guys interrupted me with your...
And I said, I
Pissed
hate it
off
when
attitude.
hockey people give me the numbers and not the names. I think it's silly. Just say the name, man. We're not saving any time. We're not saving any effort. Just give me the names of the players that are getting swapped in and out. Or instead of giving you the line combinations with the numbers, let's skip the step. Let's just talk about the names that are in the line.
Sorry that I assumed I was talking to hockey guys who understood what the
clearly
team
not, okay?
looked like. Also, I do it because it's easier for me to say. It's like Kevin Malone in The Office, you know? Sometimes take
What
words
takes
out of
longer?
sentence to make them quicker.
71 or Joseph?
71.
Joseph is quicker than 71.
26 for 71. That's the way I said it.
Walker in for Joseph. Boom. Good.
And also, to be
It's
fair, I was reading a text message that said 26 in for 71.
Could you translate it for us next time?
My mind was reading a text.
Going
I'm still not
basically from
used-
Spanish to
Learn
English.
Yeah.
the
Use
damn
my Google Translate
roster.
for me.
Learn the damn
Well, see, I'm
roster.
still learning some of the newer numbers. Like,
26 has been here for 3 years.
yeah, but
71's been here for 2.
okay.
Somebody
Which
said
one
if
did
you
you get
don't know the
71?
numbers, you don't really know what's going on. Okay.
Boom.
I just
Learn the damn numbers. And to,
I thought
the
you
real-
was playing forward in
there
that
is
Oilers
not a
game at one point
single
last
other
night.
sport where we do this. Not one.
Yeah, you
no
know-
other sport in all. There is no other sport where we
I mean,
do the
basketball
numbers
does it
thing.
when they sub in guys, right? They say like 54 in for 12 or something on
But
the PA.
nobody on the
As a PA
broadcast
announcer,
is
you're
like,
supposed to say the name.
yeah, nobody on the broadcast, nobody discussing the game is like, 8 just went in for 23. No, they say like LeBron just went in for whoever is coming
And
out
to
of
be
the game.
fair, the officials in hockey say the number, not the name.
Sure, those are the officiating people.
They do it in the
people that are
sport, so
actually
why can't I do it
describing
in the sport?
or discussing the sport. Say the names. Everybody does.
You can get an attitude about it all you want. You're not a hockey guy, man. That's okay.
That's fine. I wouldn't say like
Well, you hockey people
basketball
suck.
guys don't do that. Football guys don't do that. Soccer guys don't do that. No other sport does that. It's just a barrier for entry for the sport. It would make it easier if we would just say the names. Sorry.
Agreed.
Go ahead, Alex. What was
No,
your
this was the junk drawer
story?
today. Now I'm pissed off again. So now you got to deal with this pissed off Alex for another hour.
Shocker. Another day where Alex is upset.
From the 314. BK definitely not a hockey guy. He wanted Barbie to be traded.
That's also fair. That's also fair.
Somebody from the 314. BK, you can do this. There's only 20 numbers. I have faith that you can learn the team that you cover. It's not about that. It's to me, I just find it to be a silly thing that hockey does. And it was nothing against Alex specifically. This is a hockey thing. This is not an Alex Ferrario problem. Hockey does this.
Yeah, when my buddy texts me, he always sends me, this is what my line would be. And I see the numbers. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even going to try and convert
That's
to
really
this.
why I do numbers, because like to peek behind the curtain, I'll let Ryder know what the lineup is if there's changes so he can put the social media post out. It is not easy to type out every single player's name on my phone in the line combination, so it's easier for just to type out number.
I can understand how you get yourself there.
That's
In
really where I do it.
conversation, I find it to be pretty silly.
Yeah. At least I'm not the
BK's a phony. BK's a whiny little you-know-what.
At least I'm not the Vegas Golden Knights. They just do emojis for their line combinations, and that is really frustrating.
they really?
Yeah, they'll put emojis out because they have one per player, and my God, like trying to put those down into my
That's
stat
stupid.
book, that pisses me off.
That's stupid.
That's just like the inside joke that you won't let anyone else in on, but you still tell the world the inside joke.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 573. Guys, it's easier to know what's going on the ice if you know who's who and what number they wear. Absolutely. I agree with that. Again, if you're a referee, you're an umpire or whatever, and you're using the numbers in order to make the changes, that's fine.
But-
if you're texting something and you use the numbers, that's fine. I think in conversation about your sport, we could just use the name.
I want the name sent to me. Don't send me freaking numbers, okay? That one I'm going to separate myself from BK.
Via
on.
text, you will always
Because like
get
when I'm
numbers.
watching the game, I get what they're saying. Yeah, but I can see their name on the back of their jersey too. When you just send me a number, I don't especially at the beginning of the year. I have no idea.
Yeah, via text, I always just do the number. I just don't want to type the name on. Then you got to do with the autocorrect when it always autocorrects it. And Bukestad spelled with an F and a U and a
That's okay.
couple
At least
of other
know what we're
letters.
going for.
It just doesn't work out.
I just don't understand why hockey does this. It's the only sport where it's the case, and so it's always been a pet peeve of mine. And so today, when it came up with Alex, he was the one that got to handle my wrath.
And really, the topic doesn't bother me. It frustrates me. The wrath. I don't need that at 11 a.m.
That's fair. It's really.
I don't need that when I'm starting a back-to-back hockey game.
And it wasn't just from BK. It was from like
From
three
Ryder
of us.
too. Yeah, everybody in the damn room had it.
Said you sounded like a pompous A.
Yeah.
You know what?
Donnie walked by and agreed with it too. I was like, all right, everybody just needs a back to bleep off.
Sorry, man. Coming up in 15 minutes.
You all suck. That's what it's really coming down to.
We'll play a game of more likely to happen. You guys give us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one's more likely. By the way, Alex said it was 11 o'clock. It's closer to like 11:05.
Wow, that's true because we didn't start till 11:10 today.
It's 1:04. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up next, these are the stories that are going to dominate Major League Baseball's offseason. We'll get into that next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
75 in San Jose.
Alex said during the break,
Nobody
I can tell you
addressed what
every
that
hockey
meant.
player's
Inside
number.
joke, like the Vegas Golden Knights with their emojis. Don't tell them what it is. We'll just let them wonder.
Ryan Reese, 75 with every team he's been with.
No, not every team. He was 73 in New York.
See, I knew it.
You didn't ask that. I said 75.
Well, let's get into the storylines that are going to dominate this Major League Baseball offseason. Mark Feinsand
Number
does
changes.
fantastic work over at MLB.com. He wrote about the 11 storylines that we're going to be talking about all winter long. Alex, let's go through these and we can kind of discuss them as we go along. So the number one story is the top free agent prizes. Kyle and Kyle. Schwarber and Tucker. Those are going to be the two guys that are going to be of most interest across Major League Baseball. He said that, hey, Kyle Tucker, there's only so many teams that can sign him for the price that he's going
The
to get.
Dodgers, move on.
Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Cubs, Phillies, Giants. He said that's who he thinks is going to be in contention for
Okay,
him.
well, we can take the Cubs out. You take the Mets out.
I think the Giants are going to be where he lands.
Oh, see, I don't think he is. Bowden said he doesn't think they're going to pursue him.
Oh, my God.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going
That's
to be
going
the
to
Dodgers.
naturally fall into the Dodgers' lap.
I think it's going to be the
I
Dodgers
guess
because
we'll
the
take
Yankees.
him.
Where the hell is? I guess he could do the Yankees because they didn't exercise the option on Bellinger.
Yeah.
Was Bellinger playing the outfield for them?
I could see it. Maybe that's where he ultimately lands, but, man.
Put him in
The
left.
Phillies would be interesting.
I like the idea of the Phillies, and they want to get off of the Castellanos deal.
I could see
Even
that.
if they don't, you could put him in left.
He's going to be a Dodger. You're right. And then Kyle Schwarber is really interesting. He said guys that or teams that could be compelling landing spots for Schwarber, depending on what they decide to do with their free agents, the Red Sox and the Mets. Mets make a ton of sense for Kyle Schwarber.
Mets makes sense. Part of me wonders, do the Cubs go that route and say, well, we won't do Tucker. We'll just go a little bit cheaper and we'll go
pay the guy that
Schwarber.
left.
Yeah. And then the other one that I thought of, and I don't know how it fits, but what about the Mariners?
That'd be fun.
I mean, you're going to lose Naylor, right? And Schwarber's not playing first base, but if you put him at DH, you're going to probably lose Suarez as well. You go get a big bat to put in the middle
like
of that
that a
lineup.
lot.
That'd be the one that I was curious about if he goes to.
Yeah, they would be fun. I don't know if they do it. Now, I don't know how much they did this, but I think they used Raleigh at DH a little bit this year to help alleviate
I thought
some
he
of
played
that
a
pressure.
majority of it
Mostly
at
played
catcher.
catcher, yeah, but-
Because that was the whole thing with his MVP case.
If you're willing to do it again next year,
You
like
could
put
also
him behind
put
a plate.
Schwarber at first.
Yeah, you could teach him first.
Occasionally.
First isn't that hard to learn.
I know Contreras made it look easy, but
I'm
not
talking
everybody
like
can learn it.
30 games. Like throughout the season, you put him there for 30 games. I think he'd be fine. You put him the 15 games at first, 15 games in the outfield. It's not ideal, but you can make it work.
only
For
guy-
that bat, you can make it work.
The only guy that didn't make it work was Jose Martinez. All right.
I know, and he could be that bad defensively.
No, I don't think so.
Next thing up, he brought up the guys that are giving it another whirl this offseason. Alonso, Bregman, Jorge Polanco, all guys that were free agents a year ago, potentially going to be free agents or are going to be free agents once again this offseason. Alonso and Bregman are interesting to me. T-Bone, you brought up there was a report today that the Red Sox maybe aren't going to bring back Alex Bregman. That seems crazy to me. I don't get that. If he does hit free agency and does not land back with the Red Sox, it's another guy that makes sense
For the Cardinals?
Mets.
Oh.
The Mets need a third baseman. They've been talking about that now for a while, and Bregman would be perfect for what they're lacking in the middle of that order. So
One of the
if
Tigers-
they decide not to bring back Alonso, Bregman at the third base spot, he'd make sense.
Do the Tigers go down the Bregman path? I know because he was tied to him last year. And
Maybe.
you get the A.J. Hinch side of it. The Alonso one, I'm fascinated by because where else does he go?
I don't know.
Like, you're not going to get paid the amount of money that the Mets will pay you because they want to keep you. And are there a lot of teams looking for a first baseman? Now, I know the bat is what really plays, but it's not like that's the third base spot or an outfield spot that we're
Padres?
talking about.
Maybe. I don't know how much money they're going to have to throw around.
Yeah, they're talking about trying to get out of stuff.
Mariners
Seattle?
would make some sense, but again, like, he's going to take up most of what they have. DePoto apparently said last week that their payroll's not going up. It's going to be about the same.
Yeah, they might be able to trade Luis Castillo this offseason. It might be one of those where they pull from their rotation to spend somewhere else.
I could see that. That would make
He
some
doesn't have a
sense.
no-trade clause anymore, so that's another one. Toronto, he just lists them as one of the other top storylines for this offseason. I just wonder what their plan's going to be. How do they make this look a little bit different? Shane Bieber picked up his player option for 2026, which was a little bit of a surprise to some. It's $16 million, so he's going to be back with them. They have most of this roster coming back for 2026, but Bo Bichette is a huge potential loss for them.
That's it.
I'll be interested to see what that looks like.
And is it like a certain that he's not back?
they could technically re-sign him.
It sounds like there's mutual interest to get a deal done.
Because if you don't get him, now you're talking about a massive setback, and what do you do? But if you get him, I mean, if you're the Blue Jays, you run it back. I mean, your rotation is pretty much set now with Yasevich and Gossman, and if you're bringing Bieber back, your bullpen, you assume, is in good shape. And, I mean, offensively, you were awesome. You had a ton of dudes come out of nowhere that performed. So you get Bichette. I think if you're the Blue Jays, you're like, yeah, we'll just run it back.
He mentioned the pitchers that are going to be at the top of the market. It's a pretty good starting pitching market, actually. Ranger Suarez, Dylan Cease, Michael King, Framber Valdez, now Shota Imanaga on this list as well. Lucas Giolito, I think, is a really interesting
Half of those names will be a Dodger.
Probably. There's also a couple of guys coming over from Japan this offseason.
Dodger.
So it's a pretty good starting pitching market. He brings up the Mariners. You mentioned, Alex, they've got Suarez and Naylor both hitting free agency. What's their plan? How do they change this roster up? He brings up Luis Castillo as a potential trade option. 2 years, $45 million remaining on his deal. I think that's a great trade chip to play this offseason for a team that maybe they've got excess on the position player side of things, especially if you've got like an extra first baseman, third baseman type, and then you could make the move that we've been talking about for the Cardinals, where the Cardinals the Royals had a pitcher in Brady Singer, the Reds had a position player that they had an excess in their middle infielder, and they made that trade last offseason. Maybe the Mariners could just make a bigger move like that with Luis Castillo going elsewhere for a first or a third baseman. That'd be something to watch this offseason.
I think the Mariners are going to be a fascinating team to me because if you're them, like the Blue Jays we just talked about, they could just run it back if they get Bichette locked up and be fine. But if you're the Mariners, you're looking to try and recreate what you just had to get you to that next level. And if you're them, you got to imagine you're wanting to add offense because that's what hurts you.
Other quick ones to bring up. Says the relief market's going to be really big. Edwin Diaz is a part of that. You've also got Robert Suarez, Devin Williams, Ryan Helsley, Luke Weaver, all free agents. These are guys that a year ago, if they were all hitting the market, would have been like, oh my God. And now a lot of them had rough seasons this year. Philadelphia is going to be a team that is very much under the microscope, as are another NL contender in the San Diego Padres. These are two teams that over the last 4 or 5 years have been considered to be at least World Series contenders in the NL, and both feel like they're kind of pivoting this offseason into some direction or another, and we'll see how it ultimately works out. But those were the other big-time storylines that he says are going to dominate this offseason's conversation.
And I find the Padres fascinating because they've been trying to cut down on their payroll, and I think that they're probably, I don't know if they'll cut down again, but even if they just stay the same, I mean, Darvish just had UCL reconstructive surgery on his elbow. Joe Musgrove is coming off of Tommy John surgery. King is hitting the market. You mentioned Suarez in their bullpen is going to be a free agent. Now, they did acquire Mason Miller. They did acquire J.P. Sears at the deadline. So, like, maybe Miller fills that bullpen void and Sears fills that rotation void that they have.
Maybe Miller fills the starting rotation
That's
void.
what I was going to say, too. They might try and extend him out. Either way, they are a team that is aging quickly. Like, Arise is a free agent. He's going to the market. Bogarts is not looking like the guy that they signed him to be. Machado's getting up there in age. Like, two of their core pieces are getting up there in age, and now you don't have pitching to match it. Like, they are in a fascinating spot, and there's all kinds of buzz about Preller working with ownership. And by the way, they still haven't named a new manager yet for the upcoming season. Their offseason is going to be something to keep an eye on.
How many teams in the NL are, as of today, would you project to be better next year than they were this year?
I would say Mets, because I think they're getting Skubal and extending them. That's my bold prediction, if it's bold.
Nobody in the Central.
Dodgers, because I think they'll add Tucker.
Giants.
I think Giants. I think they're going to do it on pitching. I don't know if they'll do a position player.
Part of me wonders if the Braves do something.
I don't know how much flexibility they have, but I could see it. I could see
you're healthy with Acuna, you hope, and then you add some type of piece of the rotation.
Philly will be better.
You think?
Yeah, I think they'll
better
do
than a 96-win team?
Yeah.
Is Zach Wheeler going to pitch next year?
No, but like I could see where they do something where they become a better baseball
I think
team.
there's
maybe they're the team that ends up getting in on the Castillo conversation.
Yeah, like I could totally see them doing that. Hey, Seattle, take Castellanos, we'll take Castillo, and we'll send you a prospect.
I think there's three teams. I think it's the Mets, the Braves, the Giants. Those would be
the Dodgers.
Oh, and the Dodgers. Okay.
Throw them into this.
Yeah. And then, I mean, honestly, do we think the Diamondbacks are an 80-win team?
I'm not even talking about record. Like, just
okay.
the quality of the players on the roster. You go from whatever they had this year to what they're going to have on the roster next year, and you look at the sheets and you say, okay, they improved the roster talent from where they were a year ago.
That's why
I think it's going to be hard for the Phillies to be better. Like,
I think they're going to get younger, and I think that's how you get better.
I don't know that Schwarber's going to be back. I don't think that you're going to have anything close to a full season, and I'm not sure he's ever going to pitch again, honestly. I hate saying it, but it's true. I don't know that they're going to have their number one starter from this season. They're also probably going to lose Ranger Suarez. Like, that rotation could be a shell of what it was this year.
Aaron Nola might be the second best pitcher in that rotation.
That's a concern for them. So I don't think that the Phillies are going to be better. Maybe the Mets take a step. They're going to sign somebody. The Dodgers are probably going to take a step.
Colorado can't be that bad.
I think the Brewers are potentially going to take a step back from this year. It might be as few as two teams
that one I don't believe.
Get better.
You do that every year with the Brewers.
I mean, Freddie Peralta replacing him. I do this every year, right?
Yeah.
Replacing Peralta.
They replaced Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
They replaced Brandon Woodruff.
A guy named Jacob Mizorowski came out of nowhere, so I would imagine they're going to have another one of those dudes waiting in the wings.
It's going to be a weird offseason for the National League.
All I'm hearing is the Cardinals have a legit shot at the playoffs.
It's a shame they're not in like a.
It is.
Oh, stop it.
I don't even know about a contending. Like, even if you just weren't in this, like, verge of, man, we had to redo everything in our minor leagues.
Well, you know what? If you wouldn't have lived in denial for 3 years, you probably could have been in a winning window now if you would have started this a few years ago.
Further back than 3 years, but yeah.
It's why I would really consider this offseason being opportunistic and saying, I know it's probably not our time to like really attack, but hey, let's go to the market. Let's see if maybe some of these pitchers make sense for us. And when you're going through some of these trade options, if you've got trade offers out there where a major league talent is available and it's not getting bid up, maybe it could be of interest for the Cardinals this offseason.
I'd be trading Donovan to the Mariners about one of their pitchers. Now, I don't know if it's a major league pitcher, but somebody that's close to the major leagues, I'd be trading Donovan for that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I said up until we found out Newt had to have surgery on both of his feet that Nootbaar was the Jonathan India trade for them that BK mentioned a little bit ago, where they did the singer for India trade. It might have to be Donovan now. Now that Nootbaar's had the injury, I mean, it's the same profile, right? It's a guy that is good defensively. Donnie's is more versatile because he can play multiple positions.
A little better offensively too.
Yeah, he's been more consistent offensively. Gets on base. Like, that's what Jonathan India was, and they were able to get a number 3 starter in Brady Singer. Like, that might be the move you have to do this offseason.
I think the two teams you're targeting to try and make matches with is Boston and Seattle. I think you try and find a way to make multiple moves and find a way to. You could at least shift the dynamic rather than rebuild it.
There's a lot of teams looking for cost-controlled position player talent, man. Like, Boston is one, definitely. I think they would make some sense for you. Seattle's another. But I think it even extends to the National League. The Phillies, the Mets, Padres. Like, there are a lot of teams that if you decided to go in that direction, I think you could get some pretty good returns for some of the players that you have. And if you traded like Brendan Donovan and, I don't want to, but Alec Burleson, you could get a pretty good haul, and you still potentially in this scenario have Wilson Contreras back next year. He's a good player, man. I know everybody wants to trade all of these veterans, but Wilson Contreras is good. And if you decided, hey, we're flipping, because I got some pushback on the Jarren Duran thing earlier today, and I get it. You've got a ton of left-handed bats, but if you trade Donnie and you trade Alec Burleson, you bring in Jarren Duran, you could make a pretty good lineup for this team heading into 2026. I mean, you have Duran, Wynn, Herrera, Contreras, Weatherholt. That's a pretty decent starting spot to where you're at. And if you keep Sonny Gray as well, the rotation doesn't have to be terrible next year.
Yeah, and the nice part about Donovan and Burleson, I mean, you guys had mentioned the powers, right? I mean, you brought up Boston, he brought up Seattle. You know the great part about Donnie and Burley? Those guys could go to Tampa Bay. Those guys could go to Cleveland. Those guys could go to Detroit, Kansas City. All these smaller markets that are looking to improve on the margins to help their team out because they can't make anything big and significant happen, they can make this type of move.
More likely to happen next year on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen.
Yeah.
You guys give us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely.
My voice is just never strong enough in the first couple of months of the season. By December, I'm going to be off and running.
Here on 101 ESPN. More likely to be back with the Cardinals next year. Wilson Contreras or Sonny Gray?
Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, I'd go Contreras.
Yeah.
He seems the one that
Doesn't want to go anywhere.
But I think he wants to go, but it feels a lot like Arenado, where it's like, I'm willing to go, only 5 teams.
He's the easier one to replace, though, right?
Yeah.
With what you have already internally on the roster?
You either do Burleson or I think you just stop this whole Herrera as a catcher thing and you move him to first and you put one of the other catchers at catcher.
Yeah.
Because you have nobody internally, at least, to replace what Sonny Gray is expected to provide next year.
No, not until at minimum the second half if Doyle does everything.
Do you think it makes sense to hold on to Sonny? Let's set aside the money, which I know is a hard thing to do, but assuming they're going to have to eat a decent amount of the contract either way, would it make more sense to just hold on to Sonny until the deadline?
I think with his salary, it's still tough to move at the deadline.
And don't those guys typically not go as well at the deadline than they do in the offseason? It's like starter's not as much as a closer.
He's a guy that I think you would expect to start in the playoffs. The guys that don't end up getting a whole lot for you is like 4th or 5th starters.
And honestly, I would be I know I was worried about with Helsley, and I mean, Helsley was just the paranoia. Gray, he keeps going up there in age. Sure. I don't want to take any chance of that guy getting hurt in the second month of the season, and then now you're just stuck with it. I know you can't replace it, but you're not expected to be good this year. So
As we just discussed, though, there is an opening in the National League.
Yep, and you guys are going to convince yourselves on April 1st that this team's got a shot at making the playoffs, and I won't join that train.
You were all in on the Blues in their retool to make the playoffs, so you let us in the Cardinals retool.
My team made the playoffs,
live in our
though.
la-la land. Not the first 2 years.
Well, the first 2 years I never thought they were making.
The Verona experience.
The Verona one was rough, man. But I was
like a game back 2 years ago, or last year.
Yeah.
Did they make the playoffs?
No,
and everybody makes the playoffs in baseball.
Hey, man. It's not
everybody
like
makes the playoffs in baseball.
It's literally a higher percentage of the league in the NHL than in
50% of the league makes it in the NHL.
And less than 50% in Major League Baseball.
45%.
Everybody makes it in baseball.
I don't understand.
Competitive teams make it still in hockey.
By the way,
competitive teams are the last ones in baseball.
I don't understand.
My other fear with Sonny Gray. I think if you hold him till the deadline, there is a chance he looks kind of like what his numbers did this year, where it's an ERA in the 4. And, sure, we can talk about underlying metrics. That is what teams would be buying in on is, but he still misses bats, and we'll just bank on it. It gets better when he's here. They're going to hold that against you if you're the Cardinals, right? At some point, you can't just keep saying, well, look at the cool analytics. They say things are going to bounce back. Yeah, but his ERA is 4.28, and we're 30 starts into the year.
All right, Alex, what do you have for us today?
Guys, more likely to happen. Dalibor Dvorsky surpasses Jimmy Snuggerud in goals scored this season, or Dalibor Dvorsky finishes the year in the AHL?
The latter. More likely Dvorsky ends up in the AHL.
I'm going with the former. I think he surpasses. I think you're going to get more power play chances. And if that shot plays, oof.
Say that one again.
More likely that he ends up with more goals than
Snuggerud this year,
or he ends up in the AHL.
Man, I would say more goals than Snuggerud because I don't think he's going back down. And I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't see the scenario if he keeps playing like this where he's going back to Springfield.
Can I explain my side since I'm the outlier here?
I've had enough of your tone today.
The case is basically they have so much depth down the middle. If he goes through a rough stretch, which would be totally understandable, he's a young player. He's playing really well right now. And as of today, I would say that guy ain't going anywhere. But if a month from now, you start to see teams playing him differently, they get a scouting report and he struggles and he doesn't have good numbers on the dot, and they say, hey, we want you to continue to develop as a center. We're going to send you back down to the AHL, get you top line minutes there because the minutes are dwindling here and we've pushed you over to the wing. That's the direction that I could see it going if he were to go back down to the AHL.
Yeah, I think the versatility now with those centers, they just make some of these centers wingers. And if Dvorsky struggles, you sit him for a couple of games and then you got the center depth. I mean, again, there's going to be a dry spell at some point, which there's going to be a dry spell at some point with Snuggerud as well. But man, that one-time shot, especially on the power play, I think he could thrive on the power play, that's my thought process. Like, Snuggerud's got the point production to where maybe he doesn't get to 30 goals, but he might be at like 70-something points if he continues to pick up assists. Dvorsky just might be like the Brandon Saad on the power play to where it's just all goals and no assists.
Simon?
Guys, more likely to happen. We will see 2 Big 12 teams make the college football playoff, or we will see a 5th SEC team get in.
I'm going to say 5th SEC team gets in.
I'm still going with the 5th SEC team as well. I was a little surprised to see the amount of respect the Big 12 got yesterday in the rankings, though. The Big 12 had 3 of the top 13 teams in the rankings. That's not by mistake. They truly do believe that those are some of the best teams in college football right now. So I'll say the SEC gets that 5th team, but it's close.
I think I'm leaning Big 12 because I think Texas Tech will beat BYU this weekend, and then that's like worst case scenario. Now you've got BYU with a loss, Tech with a loss. They maybe meet up with each other in the Big 12 championship game, and it just flips course. And then the committee looks at it and goes, okay, yeah, we're going to stick with 2 Big 12 teams. The other thing, too, is the 2 highest SEC teams that are on the outside looking in, Texas, Oklahoma. I think there's another loss on both those teams' schedule, if not 2. And then then I have to extend myself to, okay, is Vandy really going to be the team that surpasses all of that? Or Missouri? Vandy's schedule is a little easier, but still, it's pretty obvious where they put them, that they view them as pretty decent steps, a couple steps away from getting into the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, Mizzou would have to win out. Their only path to the playoff at this point is winning out.
I only brought them up to be nice.
That's fair. Texas, I think, has to win out as well, and Oklahoma probably does. If either of those teams do, they're in. With their resume, they would be in at 10-2. Texas having wins over Georgia and Texas A&M and Oklahoma. One of their 2 losses being against Ohio State on the road by a touchdown in week 1. Yeah, they would be in that scenario. Oklahoma, same thing. If you're able to finish this thing out with wins against Bama, Tennessee, and Mizzou, and Michigan, they're getting in. So the resumes would be too hard to leave them out. Vandy is an interesting one to me, man. I don't know. I don't know what happens. Because, like, if Oklahoma were to win out and Vandy wins out, Vandy's probably on the outside looking in because of what their resume would be. That's tough if you're a Vandy fan to know that is your harsh reality.
And again, I think Texas and Oklahoma are suffering another loss. And that's why I am leaning the Big 12 is getting that extra spot. And I have to wonder if Vandy's going to lose again, right? Like, that Auburn defense is going to give them a tough time. Now, it's a race to like 6 points, but you know, something weird could happen, and then Tennessee's going to be a tough opponent as well.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. We'll get through a few of these quickly. From Merp the Barbarian, more likely the Cardinals win the division next year, or TMA finishes the show on time this year?
Cardinals win the division next year.
Yeah, I'll give credit to TMA. They might have a golf outing in the spring.
Or a haircut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From the Sun Launcher, more likely to happen, Mizzou wins out or Mizzou loses out?
Loses out.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That Arkansas one, though, man, that would be a rough way to lose out. Yeah. Like, I can justify the next 2, but that last one, man, oof.
More likely to happen before T-Bone gets a date. The Jets win the Super Bowl or the Sabres win the Cup? I'll say the Jets win the Super Bowl.
I'll say Sabres.
5 first-round
I'll say the Sabres win the Cup.
They can't have nice things in Buffalo. I'm going to go the Jets win the Super Bowl before my first date.
From the 636, more likely to break out this season, Walker or Libby?
Libby.
Didn't Libby already have a breakout?
It was only half a season.
Oh, we're not counting that?
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah. I'll go Libby.
More likely to be your opening day first baseman, Burley or Contreras? I'll say
Contreras.
Burley.
I'll say Contreras.
I think Burley's going to be on a different team.
Oh. I like him. I was going to say Contreras is just going to be here.
Hey, man, we want aggressiveness. Let's be aggressive. Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
It's 1:37. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up next, I want to talk a little bit about Pius Suter. He was exactly what the doctor ordered for this team. How's he fitting into your expectations so far this year? Alex, we'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues back in action tonight as they visit the nation's capital to take on the Washington Capitals. We'll have pregame coverage tonight starting at 5:30 with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 6:30 with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Harrison Bader has opted out of his contract.
We are not doing this again. We are not having another conversation about Harrison Bader to the Cardinals.
Should they?
No.
Should they?
I hate you.
I'd bring him back.
You should get a Bader tattoo.
Yeah. You really should.
On my
you should
ass?
Bader tat? Yeah, put a little lipstick next to it as well. You need to be
Who's
like
that player for you guys? Everybody's got that player, right?
Oh, mine's Bennington. Or Parayko. I should have two
Parayko would
pictures
be
on my
his.
ass.
But the thing about Bader, it's such a weird one to have.
No, it's not. This is you. You like scrappy, great defensive players with swag.
You like
and can't
average
hit.
players.
He's like a really good fourth outfielder in Major League Baseball. Like that's his ideal role for a contender. Is a
BK's
late
like,
inning
"Give him to me."
Exactly. He's a platoon player that's good in the outfield. Like that's what I'm talking about. Bennington might be one of the best players in Blues history.
I see what you're saying. Mine would be Nathan Walker.
Okay.
I get frustrated when Nathan Walker's not in the lineup.
I don't know who mine would be.
It's probably some like seventh guy off the bench for the Pacers.
Our text line. Bring him home. Bring him home,
Shut
BK.
up. Shut up. I'm not doing this. By the way, my daughter hates when I say shut up to you, but I say it a lot.
It's not nice.
It's not nice. That's what she says. She says, Daddy, that's not kind.
I don't know that I've got a player that fits because I'm typically
In
like
hockey,
ready to
I've
get
got
rid of those
Troy
guys.
Brouwer. That's my dude.
Brouwer. Oh, gosh.
Brower's in.
I feel like for a lot of people it was Ivan Barbashev.
Yeah, Barbie.
Sunquist more than Barbashev because
Sonny,
Barbie
for
had the
sure.
offensive upside. Sonny was just like 5 goals, and then it was like, oh my God, he's the best player on this team.
I felt that way about Sabotka when he was here the first time around.
Dude,
with the Blues.
Sabotka. It was pre-Russia Sabotka.
That was old
Post-Russia Sabotka, he thought he was Ovechkin.
Do you have any of those players for baseball?
That's the, I want to replace most of those guys, like Scott, ready to get rid of.
PK
Walker,
wants to
ready
sign
get
him
rid
to
of.
10-year
I know.
contracts.
And that's why we always go back and forth.
That
He's
was
always
a
like, how about this
5-year deal,
extension?
$50 million.
It was 10 by 100. It was 10 by 100. We know, buddy.
I don't think there's a Cardinal right now that I would be like, yeah, that's the guy.
Can't BS a B. Well, his is Mason
we had
Wynn.
acquired Kikuchi. I would have
Wynn's too
tattooed
good to be
Kikuchi
in
on
this
my ass.
category.
Yeah, but Mason Wynn, you thought he was like in superstar territory off of how great he was defensively.
He has the potential to
No,
be
see?
an upper echelon.
Lars Newbar was this as well.
Face
He's like,
of the franchise is what I said. I did not say superstar. I said face of the franchise.
Lars Newbar is 15% above league average.
He was.
Now he doesn't have 2 legs. And BK's like, sign him.
If the Cardinals get Jaron Duran, by the way, he's my guy.
God, you don't have enough spots.
He's probably
on,
too good also
You
to
don't
be
have
in this
enough spots
category.
on your ass for all of these faces.
My guy for the Chiefs is Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, no,
I
you
love
seem-
that guy. He's
No,
amazing.
you seem like
he can
a-
have a 10-year contract for the Chiefs. That guy, every time they need a big play, he comes up with it. I don't know how. I don't know why. He's slow.
It was me, Cole Hardman, for the longest time.
Yeah. Bring him back.
God, we got some weird players
Am
we
I the
like.
only one that does this? Do you guys not do this with players? T-Bone,
'cause
did
I
you
like
not
that-
have Cardinals
I
players
like players
this?
that put up
No,
star
because when I grew
numbers.
up, you know who the guy was for the Cardinals?
Oh, Tommy Pham. Somebody mentioned Tommy Pham. I love him.
Tommy
Perfect.
Pham had a 300, 400, 500 year. Like that
Yeah.
one, that one's not. That's not in the Bader category.
Someone said
think he is,
Perron.
though.
Is Perron that? I don't
No,
Perron
Perron was a
on the top
25
line.
consistent
Yeah.
goal scorer.
I'm talking about guys that it makes sense if they're not in the lineup every night.
Yeah,
No, you know what I
but
call it? A
when-
bad baseball
yeah,
player.
but when we liked Pham wasn't that. Pham was Perron, where
I
it
still
was
like
like
Tommy Pham.
Yeah,
I
but-
mentioned when they brought him back. I love
I
him.
know.
we liked
Right.
Tommy Pham because of his attitude and how he tried to stab
Yeah.
a guy. Or no, he got stabbed.
No,
I don't remember what it was.
I like the guys that really impact the game, the superstars, not the like fringe
Daniel
guys.
Descalso. Guys like that back in the day.
We like Descalso because he won a World Series.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about
trying to suck him
Descalso.
to the coaching
memories.
staff now.
You gotta I'd like to
Alan
see.
Craig count as it? I loved Alan Craig when he was
No,
here.
that was a star
Okay, well
player.
then,
yeah. No, he's sorry. BK doesn't like him. He's too good.
No. A 300 average?
Let me tell you.
Please stop.
Let me tell you about Khalil Green.
Guys that hit both-handed as pitchers? No, sir.
Mark Grudzielanek was the longest Cardinal for me because he was the last guy to hit a cycle. And I'm like, I love Grudzielanek.
I loved Eckstein there for a while.
was an
See,
MVP.
there you
go.
go.
That's better.
He was an MVP in the World Series.
Yeah, but
that's
it
probably
was-
the only reason I really.
That's the
fell for
only
it.
reason you liked him, though.
And I was 6 when he did that.
Yeah,
so.
did you like David Eckstein, in 2005 with
I don't
the
remember
Cardinals?
that year.
Probably not. I don't even know if he was on the Cardinals in
So he said
05.
Edmundo Sosa was that guy for me. See, there you go.
Edmundo Sosa's
That was
claim
mostly
to
because he
fame.
just didn't want to see Paul DeYoung.
Well,
Let's be honest.
And also, he hit the umpire in the face at first base.
That was amazing.
Aledmus Diaz for the 1 year.
John Jay. Somebody said John Jay was their guy
Again.
like this. That's fair.
Again, World Series. I don't think you're talking John Jay if they didn't win a World Series.
Am I the only one that falls for these guys that didn't win a World Series?
Yeah.
That's why, I don't know how much we should count your Smith-Schuster one since they win the Super Bowl all the time.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
you a
I
big-
can't. And nobody on my team is eligible.
Were you a
because they
big
won too much.
Were you a big Juju guy in Pittsburgh?
I didn't know what you were about to say.
Or New Orleans. Wasn't he in New Orleans for a year?
No, it was
No,
Pittsburgh
in
and Chiefs.
Pittsburgh. I did not like Juju in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
because you like him when he won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
No, I
You like
that,
championship caliber players, BK.
fair. I like that he does all
That's
the
not
dirty
Bader.
work stuff. Like as a wide receiver, Alex Ed honestly is kind of like a hockey guy type of mentality. Like as a wide receiver, he's like the best blocking receiver that they have. And on screen passes, anytime that you have a screen, that guy needs to be in the game because he's going to clear a path. Or if they do like the rub routes, he is the guy that will find a way to make sure that he runs into the other guy's defender. And it'll be legal, quote unquote, but he will find a way to make sure that he impacts the play, even though he's not the one that's catching the ball. So
Honestly, Braden
that's the
Shen's
stuff
that.
I like.
Braden Shen's
Yeah.
that. And I mean, I don't think Shen's been a second line center,
He's a
put up points.
captain. I wouldn't.
I know, but he does, now he does what he just pointed out. He does everything that nobody looks at. And he's like, man, did Shen have a good game? Yeah, he had a really impactful game. You're just not talking about it.
So Taguchi.
I did love So
Wasn't he
Taguchi.
a World Series winner
No.
too? Oh, wasn't he part of that 06 team?
No, he was done after 06. I thought he was 04.
I thought he was here in 06. Maybe it was 04. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I think 04 was his last year with the Cardinals. BK's looking at it. Is he 06?
Yeah,
Wow.
say,
I
thought so.
forgot that he was on that team in 06.
Number 99.
I remember he had a big moment in the 04
Didn't he get
playoff.
hit in the nuts? Wasn't that him?
I don't know, man.
Didn't the ball drop on
You've
his-
said
don't
rubber
know.
out. You've said nuts. I think we need to go to break.
Wasn't that him?
We're tattooing our own, you know what?
Are you sure you're looking at the right guy?
It's our, I think
How
he
do
would
I
know.
Google this?
Did Sotaguchi get hit in the nards?
I don't know. I'll have to look this up. I'm pretty sure it was. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't know who you're.
Taguchi was awesome in that World Series, by the way.
In
It was
06 or
1,300
04.
OPS.
Yeah,
Hit a home run
he was a
against the
really
Mets.
good player. But again, a world champion.
Did you know that he won the World Series with Philadelphia in 2008?
I didn't know he was a part of the 08
I
team.
didn't either. I thought he was retired after the Cardinals. He went to Philly and then the Cubs.
So Pius Suter was a really good fit for the
No,
Blues.
we got to go to a break. Talked about your ass and nards too much on this segment.
Pius Suter's honestly kind of all of the things that I've described, so maybe that's why I like him. We'll get to the rewind next.
Let's probably trade him next. BK NFL action in full swing, NBA action in full swing, and the Underdog app is the perfect place to go over there and enjoy the action. You can make entries right now in the state of Missouri, and you can win some money. I mentioned NFL, I mentioned NBA, but guess what? You can do it for the NHL too, BK, and Blues are in action tonight. So, of course, I'm putting together my play. 4 picks. Shen, higher on hits. Snuggerud, higher on points. Falk, higher on blocked shots because I have to do a Capitals pick. Tom Wilson, higher on hits. Those 4 picks pay 12-1 on the payout.
Love that. If you want to go over there right now, you can do so and check out what the profit boosts are for you. For me, I've got a 75% NBA profit boost that I've got eligible for this evening. I've also got a 30% profit boost that I could use on any sport that is in action tonight. You can do that over on the Underdog app today as well. Be sure to download it today. Use our promo code BKO when you do so. You could score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BKO when you download the Underdog app. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 or older. Present in Missouri. Terms to apply. See asset side underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Mm-hmm. So is the thumbnail for our YouTube today? Do we decide it's going to be a picture of me?
I love that guys do rub routes. That's what it is.
And then it'll be a picture of me with Harrison Bader's face on my ass as a tat. Okay,
BK loves rub routes. And then butt Bader picture.
Cool.
Successful show today.
Most viewed show on YouTube probably ever.
Or one that literally does not get clicked on once.
Guess it could go either direction.
I guess we'll find out how much people's interest is.
Or we'll get an email from YouTube. What do you need to blur his butt?
We're already going to get an email from John because BK's Googling stuff about Sotakuchi during the commercial break.
All right, so it's been a weird final 15 minutes of the show. It's 1:55. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. If you guys missed anything from today's show, you can check it out on the podcast page after the show today at 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app. That is always sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
101 ESPN app, free to download, super easy to use, and that is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Think of it this way. We still got 12 more minutes to talk before we give the fast lane.
Is that how this works?
Yeah, we might as well just go on their clock.
Alex, the Blues are back in action this evening.
Yeah.
They play against the Capitals.
Yeah, they do.
It's in the nation's capital.
Oh, yes, it is.
Pre-game starts at 5:30, puck drop at 6:30. Man, if we go a little into their show, they also get off early as well.
They probably love it. We get more frustrated, I guess, which tells us more about us than them.
What are you most interested in this game?
Carrying over what you did against Edmonton. I mean, T-Bone brought it up during the commercial break. The Blues' biggest issue this year has been playing well in one game and then falling flat the next. I said it to Kerbs, and I believe this. This, to me, is a massive challenge for Jim Montgomery's team because you just played 3 good hockey games. You only won one of them, but you've been saying that you're making progress, and you did so against Edmonton. You were elite defensively against that team. I don't know if you guys saw it, but McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent Hopkins, first time in their careers together that did not have a shot on goal against the Blues. So do you do that against not only a Washington Capitals team that's good, but a Capitals team that's really down right now? They've lost 4 in a row. They're dealing with the same issues that the Blues have dealt with. Do you kick that team while they're down, or do you go in expecting to win, fat and happy after you won against the Oilers, and lay an egg? That's going to tell you the difference of, are the Blues done with their problems, or are they going to revert back to where they were?
It's going to be fun to watch. It is this evening right here on 101 ESPN. If you want to hear Kerbs and Joey, the one place that you can do so is right here on 101 ESPN tonight starting at 5:30 with Alex Puck Drop for that one at 6:30. By the way, Alex is doing something really cool along with the rest of 101 ESPN. Please support the Countdown to Thanksgiving campaign to benefit Operation Food Search. It's hosted by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken by Hot Shots Bar and Coca-Cola and 101 ESPN. Drop off non-perishable food donations at any area Lee's or Hot Shots location now through November 21st. Every donation earns a free Coca-Cola beverage. All of that food will then go to Operation Food Search to help local families in need, and we've all seen that right now is a very important time to do so, especially helping out with a local area food bank. So each donor also gets entered to win a prize package that includes gift cards to Leeds, to Hot Shots, hockey tickets, so much more. Get all the details to the Countdown to Thanksgiving that Operation Food Search is helping out with now at 101ESPN.com. If you want to learn more about that, check out the Last Minute Blues podcast. They've got a lot of information going on there. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next at about 2:02 here on 101 ESPN.